What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We are back once again live with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your movie, television, Marvel, and DC news streaming live for you guys here today. We got some honorable mentions. We're going to kick the show off with 6 incredible topics that we felt you deserve to certainly know about this week. And, of course, live viewer questions to go ahead and wrap up the show, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're certainly watching us from here today, all across the United States, and even, I'm sure we even got some international viewers from time to time, but it is fantastic to see everybody here today. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, joined none other than with my co-host, as always, Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Not too bad, man. Hanging in there this week. It's been a little bit rainy and cloudy out here in the Dallas, Texas area, unfortunately. I don't know. A couple days ago, we did have like super hot weather out here, man. Like sweating in the car as you're driving. And in the past couple days, it's just been kind of stormy here. So, the humidity's killing me right now. But other than that, I'm hanging in there, man. How about you, buddy?
I mean, I'm doing good. It's actually pretty sunny over here in San Francisco, pretty decent weather for the most part.
Nice. Yeah, we have a feeling it's going to be a really hot summer around here, if I'm being honest. But we'll see how it goes. I've got my eyes on a couple of conventions I want to try and go to this year. I need to fill out the press application for it though, but there's a Rebel Scum Con out here in Frisco, Texas, I believe, or somewhere in the Dallas area. I think it's in like August or so. It's a Star Wars convention, but they've got some pretty good names that are going to be there. I'm actually quite surprised as to how they landed some of these. So I am kind of curious, something to keep my eye on, because with a lot of big names that they have, I do wonder if this is like a new Star Wars convention that will stay around a little bit more often, or get bigger outside of just Star Wars Celebration. So we'll see. I'm going to try and attend Rebel Scum Con this year in August. And then I do believe there's the classic Fan Expo Dallas out here in September, I believe. Normally they have it in the middle of the summer, like around May or June. But this year they're not doing that. This year they're just having the convention here in September. Usually we have 2 conventions from them, one in the summertime and a smaller one in the fall. But I feel like maybe they are cutting their losses with the smaller one and just going to be having the yearly big one around here. And you guys know I try and attend that one at least every year, get some like panels and recordings and things like that for you guys. But I do plan on attending this year, but it's just going to be a little bit later in the year, in September. So those are the 2 conventions I have my eyes on right now. So hopefully we'll have some cool content for you guys on the channel in a couple of months.
Yeah, that sounds hella cool, especially the Rebels one.
Yeah, they got a couple of names, I think, from Mall Shadow Lore, some of the voice actors that are going to be there. I want to say there's even some Andor actors that are going to be there too. I'll have to pull up the guest list, but I was actually like, okay, you guys aren't messing around. This isn't like a small like hotel convention, like hanging out in the lobby sort of thing. They seemingly have some big names coming through, so we'll see how it goes. But have you seen any movies this week, Stuart? We got a movie talk show next week.
I haven't seen them this week, but we're doing Masters of the Universe and Scary Movie, right?
I have not seen Scary Movie yet. I was actually trying to think of seeing the Pressure movie with what's his face? It's that wartime movie that they just released.
Oh, the one with Brandon Fraser?
Brandon Fraser, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that was out.
Yeah, that one is out too. I haven't had to see anything else other than Masters of the Universe yet. So maybe if the girlfriend is nice, or if I'm nice, I can convince the girlfriend to let me go see a movie after today's show. Have you
If you
seen
if
have you seen
you
any of them yet?
Not yet. I was planning on doing a double feature tomorrow before the show. But if you want to do the war movie, I can do Scary Movie 6. So we both have our own movie and then we both
Okay.
can review Masters of the
Master
Universe
Universe.
together.
Okay. All right. I would be down for that. I would be down for that. So let me see what I can find in regards to Pressure, and then if you want to check out Scary Movie 6, that would be great. So we'll have 3 movies for tomorrow. So that's the plan. Let's aim for that and see and see what happens. But guys, look, as we go through some of these topics today, always remember these are simply our A+ opinions, but we always want to know yours. So feel free to join us in the live chat or even the comment section box below after the video airs. But if you want your comment to pop up during the live chat, feel free to go ahead and throw it in. We love conversing with you guys, discussing topics with you guys, seeing how you guys also feel about some of the stuff that we talk about today. So just to go ahead and start giving some love to some people, let's go ahead and pull this up. We got Ricky Perez in the house. Just saw the first look at singer Bad Bunny recording his character Voice Pizza with sunglasses on the upcoming Toy Story 5, and it'll be arriving in theaters June 19th. I didn't know Bad Bunny was in the new Toy Story movie. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, neither did I.
Also saw an exclusive sneak peek clip at the upcoming Supergirl movie during yesterday's IGN Fest 2026 live stream. So I haven't seen any clips of anything yet. I have been seeing new like TV spots and new smaller trailers that look really good for Supergirl. I feel like the more and more I'm starting to see of Supergirl, the more excited I'm getting for it. Like one of the things that continues to impress me that I see is like the special effects I think are looking really rather clean. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to look, but the more and more I start seeing of this movie, it looks pretty good. But I don't really know what to expect out of this film outside of just the trailers, some of the TV spots. I haven't really seen any clips, but that I would expect now that Masters of the Universe is out. I expect this marketing campaign for the next like 2 weeks to be pretty intense.
Mm-hmm. To me, it kind of I think I've made this comparison before, and no, not because it's produced by James Gunn, but to me, it gives me major like Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, except for,
Totally.
it's mainly around one character. So I guess you could call it the loner Guardians of the Galaxy kind of movie.
I like it. I like it. Also saw the official teaser trailer for Ice Age 6, called Ice Age: A Boiling Point, that features the return of characters of the past films, coming in the theaters 2027. Very cool. Gato had a teaser trailer. Will be shown in front of the release of Toy Story 5. Okay. Also last week, Taylor Swift has wrote an original song for the upcoming Toy Story 5. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Look forward to hearing what that one sounds like. And today, the official title for the upcoming Netflix Ghostbusters animated series, Ghostbusters Night Shift, during Ghostbusters Day 2026, and it will premiere in 2027. Yeah, I think they just released the logo for the Ghostbusters animated series, but I hadn't seen the official title for it yet. So thank you for informing us of that, Ricky. Thank you so much, man. We got Blossom in the house with us today. What's up, Blossom? Good to see you. We even got Peg C hanging out with us today. He said, I saw the teaser trailer for David Yost's new project called Commentary. David Yost gave me a like for reposting his trailer. Yeah, Peg C
Oh,
sent me
cool.
Peg C sent me the trailer earlier this week. I might have to pull it up on Facebook and see if it's available on Facebook to certainly watch real quick. Maybe that's something we'll throw into the honorable mentions. But yeah, David Yost has a new project called Commentary. Commentary, get it? Comment, but yeah, I think it's common. Yeah. Anyway,
That's funny.
uh, I wonder if that has anything to do with the movie itself. I also watched the teaser trailer for PS5 video game adaptation, The Last Ronin for TMNT from
Oh,
Paramount
yeah.
Games. Did you check it out? Did you like it?
I haven't checked out the trailer yet. I remember it was announced, but I've checked out I'll talk about them more during my honorable mentions. But I've seen a couple of really cool trailers that look really good for upcoming video games.
Nice. We got Peg C. He also says the history of Tokusatsu and Super Sentai on the Toku channel. Acrimony Toku channel and was so impressed. His docs are well researched, engaging, and perfect for all fans. Highly recommend. So there you guys go. If you want some tokusatsu content, the history of tokusatsu and Super Sentai on the Acrimony Toku channel, give it a shot. I meant to ask this, Marcelino. I meant to ask this 2 weeks ago, but what happened to the Mando and Grogu review with Will and Crystal? Yeah, it was supposed to happen that Monday night, and then I wound up having a power outage that same evening. Like, literally had the stream ready to go. We had left to go to the girlfriend's father's house for a quick dinner. I was planning on being back at the house, and then we get a notification on the phone that the power in our neighborhood went out, along with our internet went down and everything. And so yeah, we had a terrible storm that night, and power didn't end up coming back up until like 11:30 that night. So it was a long wait, and we missed out. And now, unfortunately, Crystal wound up having jaw surgery, so she is unable to really be present on camera. So we're really just gonna have to, if anything, it's probably just gonna be the three of us council members, me, Stuart, and Will, doing the review. I just got to get with everybody and find out what everybody's schedule is looking like. But I still plan on doing one. I really would like to do one for the Force Report. So stay tuned, Marcelino. I'll keep you updated. Shout out also to Hunter. What are your thoughts on the new Superman suit and Lex Luthor suit reveal? Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about it here for honorable mentions. So certainly look forward to that. But yeah, guys, feel free to continue to chime in the live chat throughout the entirety of the show, giving us your thoughts on everything that you see, and let us know how you feel about that. But with that out of the way, Stuart, let's go ahead and kick this off with our first segment of the day. And we're going to get into our honorable mentions portion of the show. For those of you who are unsure of what honorable mentions is, pretty much topics that we felt you guys certainly deserve to know about, but just did not quite make our top 6. Stuart, you want to kick us off? You said you had an honorable mention, sir?
Oh yeah, I got a couple. First one is actually not even really related to the podcast itself, but let me go to screen share real quick. I told you guys that I wanted to share a few photos of the wedding, of my wedding when it happened. Here we go. Just go to full screen on here. But yeah, I promise it won't take too long. I didn't download every single wedding photo. Just a few fun highlights. Plus, I wanted to make sure, like, I got permission from the people who are going to be seen in the photo. I wanted to make sure I got their permission, so you won't see like everyone in the wedding. Here we go. I think that should be the screen. Would you mind clicking that screen there?
Oh yeah, at the stage.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So this, I wanted to start with this one because there's actually something really funny that I'm about to show you right after this. So they wanted to get my reaction to seeing her wedding dress for the first time. So I hadn't had a chance to actually see it until this moment. So this is her behind me. The camera guy is telling me not to turn around. And my friend Derek kept telling me, dude, I cannot wait for you to see your face. And I can finally understand why, because this was my reaction. Oh shoot, hang on. Thought I could. There we go. This was my reaction. But then yeah, her veil is amazing because as you stars in it, because this was kind of like a Star Wars themed wedding. Her dress was even like very similar to Mon Mothma's dress from the Star Wars Andor episode. And there's me with my brothers and my best man.
Which one's your brother? Which one's your brother?
The two on the right are my brothers. The one on my left, the one that actually looks like he's related to me, is my friend.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, that's got to be his brother.
My brother Shane made that same comment, being like, "Why does he look more related to you than we do?" But yeah, then at our table we had this, "I love you," and then "I know."
Yo, that's great.
Empire. There was our wedding cake. We have some like little Star Wars Lego pieces, and then this was the view we had during the event. oh my gosh, it was incredible. There's the actual ceremony, our signature cocktails. I had the white Russian, she had the white Lenin. So we based all the table numbers off of planet names. Now I put thought into who I sat next to each other at the wedding, but I put no thought into which table I put them at. And my buddy Alex is as big of a Star Wars nerd as I am, so he kept like wondering. I can't remember if it was Tatooine or Naboo that I put him at, but he kept wondering why I put him and everyone of my like friend groups at that specific planet table. And I think this is where the discussion happened between him and Isaiah, where he's like overthinking it. Isaiah's like, dude, there's nothing to it. It was just, oh my gosh, it was absolutely hilarious. Some more photos. There's us doing like our solo dance to kick off.
Wow, the wedding. That's a great looking venue too.
Oh my gosh, the inside was incredible. And there's me dipping. None of it was rehearsed, but she told me she just kind of like, we were just doing a casual dance. And then she would occasionally tell me to spin her. And then she knew the song that we were dancing to, knew exactly when it was going to end. So right as we were coming to the end, she's like, okay, dip me now. And so that's when I did this. That's and cool. I think the photo was great. Us all on the dance floor, just having a blast. And then me and Megan during our final dance. So yeah, it was one of the greatest nights of my life. Awesome, and absolutely amazing.
Awesome, yeah. Bro. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Great photos. I love the viewpoints of where you guys had your ceremony. First off, outside is always a great move. Risky, but always a great move. And I'm glad it turned out really well for you guys. The Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Yeah, wow, that's crazy, dude.
What's even funnier too is if you looked at the right, there's like the whole view of the city, and then you can even see the Bay Bridge in the background too.
Oh, that's cool, dude. That's really cool. I love the fact that you had some Star Wars stuff in there too. She was looking gorgeous, man. I love that veil, the stars on that too.
Gosh, it was incredible.
It was looking really great. Yeah, man, you guys look great, man. Congratulations, Stuart. I'm so happy for you, brother. Really, like that's an amazing time for you. I'm glad you had that experience, man.
Thank you so much, and thank you for letting me share on the podcast.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course.
I got so excited when I saw them. But yeah, on to my actual honorable mentions. Yes, she is. I'm going to tell her that you said that.
When I get married, I'll probably add a bit of Sailor Moon to my wedding. I can totally see that.
I want photos of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure, awesome.
So I got some actual honorable mentions as well that we'll get into. So a lot of video game announcements. One of them, unfortunately, I don't really have a trailer for yet because it's kind of the live show is going on like as I'm talking about it. But the first one I wanted to talk about is we have a new Gears of War game. This one being a prequel titled Gears of War E-Day. And it looks like it's kind of like at the beginning of the big, war in Gears of War. And it's kind of cool because you get to see Marcus in like civilian clothing from the beginning bit that I saw, instead of like kind of the normal like heavy metal like kind of outfits that they usually wear. But what I do find funny is that like backgrounds and environments look like our world, but their weapons still look like the same over the top, like really badass, but still like kind of like over the top campy weapons from the video games, from the original video game. So it's like kind of funny to think those weapons existed before the apocalypse. The next one, I do have a trailer up for here. I'm gonna pull up the screen share again. Because I skipped to the last minute of this trailer only because the first 2 minutes 50 seconds is just kind of one really long drawn out scene, but basically this is Resident Evil Veronica, and it is a remake of my favorite classic Resident Evil game, which is Resident Evil Code Veronica X. And this is very much like how they've recently done the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Resident Evil 3 remake. I'm so glad that instead of going to remake either Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 0 or Resident Evil 5, they decided to do my favorite Resident Evil game. My favorite classic Resident Evil game, Resident Evil Code Veronica. So I'm just going to play this last minute of it because this is where it actually shows some footage that's very similar to the original.
Don't move. Claire Redfield.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of shots that look very much similar to the original, although now they've added, I assume that's supposed to be Hunk, the kind of famous umbrella agent, basically from like the last several Resident Evil games. So I think they added him into this game, which is going to add like kind of a cool new dynamic. So that looks absolutely awesome. And then, sorry, I got one more. And again, actually, I don't even really, there's not really even a trailer for this, so I'll just talk about it. But it's the new God of War game called God of War Lao Fei. And we, in this game, are playing as Kratos' wife in the afterlife. And it looks like it kind of ties into the events of the first God of War reboot, because we have like a scene where it's her basically holding Kratos' arm as Kratos like helps her up. And someone pointed out that kind of matches the exact scene where Kratos dies very briefly in the original or in the God of War remake, meaning that this game probably takes place then during the original remake of the original reboot of God of War. So it looks incredible. It's weird. There are so many of the, and I'm going to call them the chuds, the grifters that are tearing this game apart. Because it's God of War, but you're not playing as Kratos, and it's like, okay, that's I mean, you're still in like the afterlife of the gods, and they mentioned that people that you're going to be fighting are going to be different gods of war. I think they even reference the Egyptian god of war in this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was going to be like a surprise appearance from Ares or Athena as well, tying it to the original trilogy. And then, of course, the other thing that the Chuds just have to complain about is they're like, oh, well, La Fei doesn't look super over the top, sexy or anything like that, which, first of all, I think she looks gorgeous as hell. But second of all, why does that even matter? You're playing, it's a video game, and the gameplay looks fun. That's kind of what's important with a video game, is how does it play? How does it, how's the story, that kind of stuff. And story looks very interesting. And I like how they completely capture the actress that played Karen on Daredevil. She's going to be playing Lao Fei in this game. And man, the way they capture her in modern like video games nowadays, the way they can capture people is just absolutely incredible.
That's cool.
So this is great. I've started getting back into gaming recently, and it's kind of funny. I think I blame Mass Effect Andromeda for making me quit video games, I guess you could say, and I blame Baldur's Gate 3 for getting me back into video games.
Nice, man. I wish I had a video game system to get back into video games. I've been trying to convince the girlfriend, and she's just like, no, we're gonna get addicted to them here. I'm like, oh, all right.
You don't have like a PlayStation 4 or anything?
No. My Xbox One crapped out on me several years back. And we just never got another one. It's just so expensive, man. I just don't want to be paying $500 something for a console, and I'm too like bougie to get like a smaller console of the version that I want, like I don't I'm not one like I need, if I'm gonna get a console, I'm gonna get a real console,
Mm-hmm.
Not
you don't
like,
want to get like the kind that don't come with a disc drive.
yeah, like I don't want to pay $300. Download all your games to this one. No, I want an actual console, please.
Yeah.
Any other honorable mentions you got for us, or were that it?
Nope, just the main video games coming out. I think the one I'm most looking forward to is Resident Evil Veronica, because I love the Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, when they do these remakes, do they add new things to them?
Oh, a lot of new things. It's Because like it's so weird because like they tend to use the same title for remake or remaster, but to me a remaster is when you take the exact same game and you just enhance either the graphics or you make it more HD. Like that's a remaster to me. But if you're going to make it from the ground up, make a completely new game that uses like themes from the original, like they've done with all the Resident Evil games, that's a full-on remake because it's almost nothing. I mean, I wouldn't say it's nothing like the original. It's basically the original is where they get the story, the base for it, but it's more like the original is a guideline for the remake. They're not built. They're essentially the remakes are built from the ground up. So to me, that's how I differentiate the two. But I've also seen other video game companies labeling what should be called remasters as remakes, and I'm like, I don't know what the standard is for a remake or a remaster nowadays.
That makes sense. A couple other excuse me, a couple other honorable mentions for you guys today. We do have more casting news here. The upcoming John Wick spinoff series, Kane, has just added Mason Thames to its lineup. According to Deadline, it says Mason Thames has signed on the role. Signed on for a role in the John Wick spinoff, Kane, directed and starring martial arts master and franchise actor Donnie Yen. Thames joins Yen along with Rina Sawayama. And I believe they also recently announced Dacre Montgomery in this film as well. So it says Thames' role and logline are being kept under wraps. The new film will continue Yen's story arc following the events of John Wick Chapter 4. So the film is currently now in production, and which is why you continue to see more casting announcements and things like that revealed for it. But yeah, that is currently in production. What else we got? Travis Knight and Masters of the Universe is currently in the news. Masters of the Universe is currently in theaters as of right now. It's got a really great positive critical score and audience score. I believe I don't even know where the score is at anymore. I believe the critics were like high 70s, maybe low 80s. Audience might be like high 80s or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Travis Knight is not making it any secret that he clearly wants to join the DCU. They had a debate. They've been doing a great marketing job here. And Travis Knight, along with his actor Nicholas Galitzine, who played He-Man, had a debate as to who is stronger, Superman or He-Man. Travis Knight clearly went with Superman, despite the fact being the director for Masters of the Universe. And Nick said, "Are you trying to get a job?" And Travis says, "James, call me." And so he has every intention of trying to land a job when it comes to the DCU. And some fans have already suggested some possible movies such as like Shazam or even like a Teen Titans movie or whatever the case might have been in regards for him to helm something. But I don't know if Masters of the Universe is a world that they're going to revisit. I would be interested to see what Amazon MGM Studios does based off of how this box office for Masters of the Universe performs and how it's critically and audience received. But I either expect Travis Knight here to either continue in the world of Eternia or maybe another opportunity might arise for him here, Stuart. Would you like to see him in the DCU?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some potential there. Don't know what I would have him do. Like probably like I could see Shazam, but I think that because this guy knows how to work in like kind of more fantastical universes. Like, I mean, looking at Bumblebee, my favorite scene in that movie was the very beginning part that took place on Cybertron. And then looking at the trailers for Masters of the Universe, it seems like he really gets Eternia down. I would probably want him to work on something a little more like fantastical, like either something that takes place in space or something that might like take place in the past. So if we want to do like what was his name? The Shining Knight, right? The one who uses Excalibur.
Yeah.
Like I think something like that would be up his alley.
That would be cool. I wouldn't even mind like a Justice Society of America. I think would be pretty cool. Maybe even like a a Zatanna or a Dr. Fate, like just something in regards to like magic, I think would really be cool and kind of up his alley a little bit. Um, yeah, there are a couple of things I do like both the suggestions that's of Shazam along with maybe even Teen Titans. Teen Titans seems like that would be probably a good fit for him also. But yeah, he's got a lot of opportunities I think about to come his way, regardless of how well Masters of the Universe does. I think from a directing standpoint, there might be some stuff for him when it comes to the DCU.
Tony Robinson suggests Constantine.
Constantine, yeah, that might be up his alley there. We also got Kiki and Luca in the house. What's up, Kiki and Luca? Appreciate you certainly coming through today. Marcelino says I kind of expected most of the cast to be Asian cast, but I do love Dacre Montgomery and Mason Thames. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where those characters fit and where they play their role at. And then last but not least, for honorable mentions, this probably could have been one of our topics here today, but we'll talk about it regardless of honorable mentions or not. But this week we've had a lot of reveals when it comes to the Man of Tomorrow movie. Man of Tomorrow is currently in production as of right now, and I found it interesting that James Gunn, similar to what he did when it came to Superman in regards to giving us a Superman first look, he wanted to give us this official first look of Lex Luthor in his war suit for the very first time. Practical suit, mind you, in which Nicholas Hoult can move around and move about just freely and fine in it. But they literally built my man a war suit. And James Gunn went ahead and dropped this reveal for us a couple of days ahead of filming beginning like out in location. So he wanted to get ahead of it before some of the set photos wind up revealing. And we got a bunch of set photos that ended up being revealed. But this was the very first look at the war suit here. What are you thinking about this, Stuart? I mean, this is just bananas, dude. The fact that this is actually functional. I mean, there's like set photos and set videos of Nicholas Hoult literally walking the streets in this costume. I don't know if Homeboy's on stilts or what, but this is as good of a war suit as you will find, sir.
Yeah, this is like as comic book accurate as it gets. I didn't think we'd be able to get a suit like this without CG, and I'm sure there's going to be like CG enhancements once we see it like in the actual movie, but like the fact that they made it from scratch, it's just going to help sell the illusion that it's actually this, you know, all-powerful suit that much better. Yeah, I think it looks absolutely incredible. I can see that, like, even though he's able to walk around on it, they still obviously got to give him some assistance by using some wires here and there, but yeah, it's pretty incredible. Although I will say there are some angles that I'll look at it and my first thought isn't Lex Luthor, it's Buzz Lightyear.
Yo, I could totally see that. I could totally see that. I'm sure maybe we'll have some Buzz Lightyear memes as this movie gets closer to he's even laughing at it. He even thinks it looks like Buzz.
That's the face he made when someone made that comment.
Yeah, like Buzz Lightyear. Nick, he's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I look just like him. I love this one too. This looks like this is gonna be he's got a massive gun of some sort. Maybe this is gonna be CGI'd in full at some point in time. It looks like he's going to be blasting somebody. Probably my boy Superman over here. You know, one thing that I will say that stands out to me that I appreciate about this shoot is that it's a nighttime shoot. You know, I don't think we got many nighttime shots in the Superman movie. Maybe one that I can recall when he arrives back at the apartment and the Justice Gang are dealing with that alien outside. But that's like the only nighttime shot that I can recall from Superman. But it does look like we've got ourselves a nighttime shot happening here. This looks like this is going to be a battle between the two based off of just some of the set videos that I've seen. They've got some videos of Superman like pummeling Lex Luthor like while he's on the ground, like punching him and stuff. So it looks like they're going to definitely be having some type of fight in this war suit. Maybe he's ripped off a part of his gun already in this shot here. You know, I don't know what it is, Stuart, but there's something about not just his suit, but even like the hairstyle of David Cornyn Sweat that just feels a little bit different to me. He feels a little, I don't want to say a little bit more Christopher Reeves here, but I don't know. Just some of the shots, the suit itself looks a little bit maybe even a little bit more redesigned. Does it look a little bit different to you from the past? I don't know if it's just the
I
brightness or what, but
I heard people saying it's a different suit, but if I'm being honest, I can't really tell the difference.
um I would have to put the old suit and this suit up side by side. I don't know. I just almost feel like this kind of fits him a little bit better, maybe in the shoulders and in the arms, maybe a little bit tighter on him. I wonder if he's put on more muscle in this, or if they've just redesigned the costume to be a little bit more firm on him instead of as baggy as sometimes the other one visually looked. But I think it looks great. I mean, this shot of him with the battle damage scar on his chest. Again, his hair, I don't know. I don't know why. I just get Christopher Reeves vibes when I look at him this time around, even more so. But yeah, Man of Tomorrow is currently filming. I am kind of curious what everybody's thinking about. Pexy says James gonna apologize to the fans for making the character Scrappy do the villain in the next in the live action movie of Scooby Doo. He didn't know the character was beloved.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I watched that, but yeah. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What do you think about the Man of Tomorrow set photos, along with the official look at the Lex Luthor war suit? I would assume that if we eventually get ourselves a Brainiac in filming, like I do wonder if Brainiac will be more like on the studio lot where they can kind of control who sees things and who doesn't. I wonder if or if he's ever going to have any on location shots, because I think if he's going to have any on location shots, I have a feeling we'll probably get a first look at him before they begin filming out in the open. Otherwise, I can see him easily holding off on the appearance of Brainiac for as long as he can. I haven't seen a Brainiac leak yet.
Yeah, I think just based on how James Gunn has been doing it as like kind of a middle finger to anyone who's like trying to scoop it before the internet, is that he seems to usually do all the indoor shots that he can, and then the moment he has to do an outdoor shot, that's when he'll reveal the suit, before shooting outdoors. And I think that's what he'll probably do with Brainiac. I think that would be the smart move, is get all the studio shots, all the soundstage shots done first, and then once those are done, once you need to film the Brainiac scenes outside, that's when you basically kind of show this is what Brainiac's going to look like, everyone. Therefore, if anyone gets a leaked photo of it, it's not going to look as impressive as the reveal photo.
Yeah, and this was an incredible reveal photo. Definitely had the internet buzzing. But yeah, Lex Luthor in his war suit, another iteration, but probably one of the better iterations that I've seen. So we'll see how it looks visually. I'm hoping that this, I'm hoping that this is a little bit more serious in tone in regards to compared to Superman. The fact that it's a nighttime shoot, things seem like it's going to be a little bit darker. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted on any new images and new details that wind up emerging for Man of Tomorrow. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to all those reveals. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's go ahead and kick off our main topics, man. You ready to go ahead and dive into this with me, bro?
Always.
Let's do this, man. We got a couple incredible topics we're going to be talking about today. Supergirl, really going to be beginning sort of like our preview efforts in regards to this upcoming movie. I believe it releases June 26th. We're going to be talking a little bit about Supergirl here today. We even have the Acolyte back in the news, Star Wars fans. Leslie Headland, the showrunner, is certainly talking about it a little bit more. We even have an announcement for a Streets of Rage film in development, along with a couple of other topics here today. But let's go ahead and first and foremost kick off with our talk about Supergirl, the cousin of Steel, the girl of Steel, the woman of Steel, woman of tomorrow, whatever moniker you want to give her. Millie Alcock is certainly ready. We wind up getting some brand new images here. First off, I love this wallpaper image of her. And this one is based off of brand new posters that we wind up getting here this week, Stuart. Movies nowadays, not only do they give us like teaser posters and the official posters. But now that we've got so many different formats of like premium formats you can watch movies in, we now not only get like character posters, but now we get like format posters. So you can figure out like which format do I certainly want to watch it in, right? So Supergirl is filmed for IMAX. So this is your IMAX poster. We also got a Screen X poster, which I thought looked actually pretty dope. We also have a 4DX poster. It says "Feel It in 4DX" right here. We even have Real 3D, so it's going to be presented to you in 3D if you want to check that out. And one of my favorite features or formats, Dolby Cinema. This is actually a pretty cool one. What's the the red sun, Krypton sun, I can get that. Our yellow sun, what's the green sun though?
I
Is that to
don't
represent
know.
kryptonite of some sort? I don't know. I wonder what that green sun is.
Maybe it's a hint at what the villain's doing. Maybe instead of turning a sun red, he's turning a sun into like kryptonite radiation. I don't know.
Ooh, possibly. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of a tease.
Yeah.
But I do love that, especially considering the fact that Dolby always talks about its enhancement of color. This is actually a pretty cool poster in regards to really highlighting what it is that makes Dolby such a great experience. So I will either be watching it in Dolby or in IMAX. Maybe I'll get two rounds of it. But Stuart, I gotta tell you, man, I continue to see more and more of this movie, and I continue to be more and more impressed. I feel like the trailers have gotten better and better and better. Felt like I was okay with the first trailer. It was a little bit underwhelming for me. But every time I continue to see more, I keep thinking to myself, like, this seems like this might surprise a lot of people. How have you been feeling in regards to the buildup for this movie? Because I don't necessarily know if the marketing has hit its stride yet. It might be as of this week with all the new like poster releases and stuff. I have a feeling that we're going to be getting a lot more articles within the next couple of weeks. But just from where you're at right now, how are you feeling about where your anticipation level, I should say, is for Supergirl right now?
I would say it's decently high. Something that surprised me though. So like I didn't think the marketing for this movie was that great because it seemed like they were just showing the kind of same trailer over and over.
Right.
But it turns out it was better. It must have been better than I expected because the pre-sales for this movie have been so great that it's actually crashed AMC's website. So I think in terms financially, I think this movie is going to do really great, at least opening weekend. All this movie has to do is not suck in order to keep those numbers up pretty much. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. The trailers have been doing a good job of not showing too much, I don't think. Like they show us what the plot is, but I don't think they've really delved specifically too deep into her trauma. So I think if I have any concern, I hope this isn't one of those movies that relies on the action to tell a story too much. Like I hope we get enough flashbacks so we can really like feel for our main character. Hopefully the character growth she goes through feels organic and not rushed or anything like that. And literally the only reason I had those concerns to begin with is just because of like how fast paced and how short the movie runtime it currently is and how fast paced the trailers seem to be. So, I'm pretty sure those concerns are like, totally not even like going to be a thing with the actual movie, but we'll have to wait and see. But overall, like I said, I think I'm more excited than not.
Yeah, I think the movie, I think I was seeing reports of like 1 hour and 50 minutes. And that's fine for me as long as the pacing is well and as long as they're able to fit in as much character exposition as they possibly can in here. The two things that I continue to see more and more of in trailers is usually like I see more Superman in these trailers. I feel like they're definitely hinting at the idea of like their relationship being shown on screen, their potential first meeting with each other on screen. I think I even saw a shot of him like presenting her with the suit and things like that also. So that might certainly be helping in the marketing in regards to having Superman sort of rub off on his cousin a little bit in regards to getting that anticipation kind of built up, and I continue to see more and more action from this movie. The action in this movie looks really incredible to me. They've got some really great action sequences and like slow motion shots that really just kind of work for me. And like in the final trailer that they wind up having, they have this really cool, like her just shooting out her laser beam sort of thing in the middle of the battlefield, and they slow it down for you. It looks so dope, dude. Like I think I think the action is really, really going to be there. So, I've teased the idea too that, look, I don't know what Anna Noguera is capable of when it comes to writing, but based off of the content in which they're adapting it from, I'm really hoping that this ends up secretly, like from a narrative and writing standpoint, being a better film than Superman. For me personally, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of this being that good of a movie. And I'm glad you brought up this sort of like the pre-sales for it. I think that even that has kind of shocked me also. But I think it might show also that after Superman, there's a lot of interest in the DCU now.
Mhm.
Like maybe there's like more full-fledged trust in it. And so I think that's a combination. And I think, maybe the marketing is starting to pick up and people are kind of liking what they're seeing a little bit. And so now they're ready to go check out this movie. Maybe that's what people are saving up their money for right now, is this Supergirl movie.
Yeah. No, I think financially should do fine. Someone pointed oh yeah, so Grandmaster Solace says it has to make between 400 and 5 million. Will it? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I think it's at least going to make 400. I think again, just based on kind of the pre-sales alone, I think that it's on track. And again, all it has to do is like be a decent movie to keep that going. But yeah, overall,
Yeah.
I think this movie's on track.
Yeah, Kiki and Lucas's Deadline reported Supergirl cost $175 million before global P&A and put the breaking point at $315 million worldwide.
If the budget was 175 million, then most of the time that means that the money has to make is 350 million, and then anything above 350 would be a profit, because always double.
I would even say even more than that, if I'm being honest with you, because you are right. Usually what you want to do is you want to double the cost of what the production is. So that would be about 350. I would be interested. Maybe they got some tax breaks also, so maybe it's maybe it does bring down the cost a little bit more to the 315 million. But I would also even add costs of marketing. I don't think cost of marketing is in there. You're looking anywhere between 50 million to another $100 million, depending on how intense their marketing is going to be. So I think 315 is maybe undercutting it a little bit. I can see maybe like 375, 400 million if they wind up getting any kind of tax breaks. But as far as like, will it make between 400 and 500 million dollars? That's where I'm sitting at right now. If I had to be honest, I think that's probably where I'm sitting at right now. I don't necessarily know if I don't think it's going to be make more than Superman, just based off of name recognition alone. But I also think based off of where we are in regards to comic book movies, we did an average on how much comic book movies are even making these days after COVID, and we're talking to like $375 million or maybe $400 million right now. So I think that's average. So I have a feeling that this movie will do better than that. So I would say anywhere between 400 and 500 million dollars. I can see this movie making that. I think the days of like, oh, this movie's about to make $750 million, like I think those days are like, if you're not Avengers, if you're not Spider-Man, I don't think that those numbers are certainly going to happen. I mean, Superman couldn't even get to that point. So I think anywhere between 400 and 500 million is like the sweet spot for sure.
Yeah. Which honestly, you know what? Some people might see that as a bad thing. I see it as an opportunity. This means, studios might be forced now to basically cut the budget on some of their movies, and forcing writers to like be more creative with the writing, and forcing studios themselves to be less involved, because their involvement tends to kill the writing. But their logic is, the writing can suck as long as it looks good. But now they don't have the money to make it look good. Now they're going to have to step back and let the writers actually cook.
Yeah. Kiki and Lucas says Puck says Supergirl needs 425 million. Um, I think that's probably kind of a little bit more accurate. The 350 doubling the budget. You add anywhere between 50 to $100 million from marketing. 425 seems like, anywhere between 400 to 425 seems like it reaches that.
Oh wait,
Um,
who's Puck?
Puck News, I believe it's like Puck News.
Ah,
Um, also says Warner Brothers would surely prefer 500 million plus global gross. We'll see. I think studios should temper their expectations for right now. I think the DCU is still a proving ground. While there are Supergirl fans, it's not the same name recognition as Superman. But I do think if you have a good marketing team, people seemingly, well, outside of the chuds, most people seem to like Millie Alcock when it comes to like her time in House of Dragon. Having Superman in your trailers and in your marketing certainly doesn't hurt at all. And so, yeah, it's just really going to come down to how good is the story and word of mouth. And so I do think that anywhere between 400 and 500 million dollars is certainly key and doable for this movie. But we'll definitely have to kind of wait and see. I'm really terrible at like seeing what a movie makes opening weekend, especially domestically, and like trying to figure out can it make the money that it certainly needs to overall at the end of the day. But I would like to see I would like to see this movie succeed in regards to them showing further faith in this movie. But before we continue, Stuart, let's get into this article. This article wind up dropping. You talked a little bit about the idea of like the character work for her. Empire Magazine is beginning their really their preview here for this movie. Why is Supergirl so different to Superman? She's a survivor of trauma in the purest sense. For Millie Alcock, it was reading Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic that unlocked what DC boss James Gunn wanted the Kara in his movie to be. This is what she says. She says, I understood at that point that James is trying to do something very different and unexpected with her. She's such a good contrast to Superman because she's a survivor of trauma in the purest sense. I was excited to play someone so beautifully flawed and resilient. Hey, if you lost your entire planet and people, you'd probably be messed up too. It was this approach that opened up the film for the director Craig Gillespie too, who previously made big bold films about complicated women in I, Tanya and Cruella. He said, I have a very specific tone I'm attracted to. I've always loved the first Iron Man movie, flawed, complex, and conflicted. They sent me the Anna Noguera script for Supergirl, and 2 scenes in, I was like, I'm in. It was exactly what I hoped for. It's all character. She went from an incredibly dark scene to this irreverent character scene, all in the first 15 pages. Says Supergirl has got a lot of trauma, a lot of demons. She's unapologetic, he teases. You get to have a character that can be punky and edgy and not take off those rough edges. Bring on the noise. I feel like this theme of punky and edgy is like the DCU right now, at least when it comes to these two cousins in Superman and and Supergirl. Superman clearly wants to be punk rock in his in his best ways he possibly can. And it seems as though Kara's going to be taking over some of that as well. But yeah, this definitely hits.
that's because like Mighty Crab Joyce. That's as punk rock as you get.
Yeah, absolutely. But you hear this, Stuart, from Millie along with Craig Gillespie. Is this the type of stuff that you want to hear if your concern is character development for this movie?
Yeah, it's exactly what I want to hear. Yeah, and I think that like Millie Alcock did a good job of playing, that kind of character. Like, obviously not like Supergirl, but flawed in a very, very different way on Game of Thrones. Kind of like what happens when you get someone who like kind of wants it all at the same time and doesn't really like someone who wants things a certain way but isn't willing to change in order to get that, and then we see the consequences of that, like as she becomes an adult. I think she did a good job of setting the pieces up, playing the younger version of the character though in the earlier episodes. So I am really excited to see her now in this Supergirl role because of that. And then same with the director too. I didn't realize that this was the same director as I, Tonya, and Cruella, but I do like his comparison that he made with Iron Man, with Supergirl, because yeah, I would say that it is kind of similar in the way that they kind of close people off from them, and they kind of drown their sorrows in booze rather than actually like working through their issues and that kind of stuff. I think I think Iron Man's like kind of a good comparison in that sense. Obviously, their traumas are very different, as we'll learn from the movie, but I think that is kind of a cool like jumping off point, though. So I'm excited to see what he does with that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this too. I love everything that I'm hearing from the two of them. I really wanted something that's a little bit more character driven. I think those are the ones that really certainly hit a little bit close to home. We kind of talked about this before, but like I think a movie that hits me that way too is like Thunderbolts, in the sense that it was really character focused, really driven in regards to their flaws, the trauma that they've kind of all experienced, and how do they kind of overcome those things, right? In the sense for Thunderbolts, it's a little bit more uh, isolation, mental awareness sort of thing. So the fact that we get the opportunity to deal with loss and grief in something like Supergirl is going to be a really interesting one for me, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people. I've never, it's always interesting to me, like I need to sit down and read more scripts, because I really would like to see like what he saw within the first 2 pages of this, or the first 15 pages of what the script calls for, that really kind of drew him in a little bit. But the fact that not only does Millie talk about this, but also the director, in regards to just how complex of a character she is, the character journey that we're going to be on, really has me excited for this, because I do want to see this side of Supergirl. I think one of the biggest complaints that I see from people online is like, I think they expected the Girl Scout Supergirl that we got from like the CW shows. But it's always interesting to me to see like people's argument for the CW Supergirl, in the sense of she's just a Clark Kent, but she's female. Like she's so simple. She's just the same person, but she's just Clark Kent. Um, but then you have people that get upset when you like divert from that, and you try and give them a fresh take and a fresh view on a character, to maybe, I don't want to say get her to the point to where Clark certainly is, because she's certainly her own person and her own thoughts and whatnot. But the idea of trying something new, I don't know if the paper cutout CW Supergirl would get as big of a pre-sale for movie tickets if we were to have a Supergirl movie representing that, compared to what we see here in this Supergirl movie. I think there is some interest in the idea, especially after seeing her cameo in Superman, the sense of like, this is a different Supergirl. Not to say that she can't go on to become a hero, but I do think there's always something fascinating in that journey to becoming a hero. And people that want to crap on this character before they get the opportunity to see their growth, like they want this Supergirl character to kind of be at the finish line already when we get the opportunity to see her. And I think there's just fun in running that race and seeing the obstacles and the things that she's got to overcome to get to that finish line, to become the eventual Supergirl that I think we've kind of all seen before. But if I'm being honest, I don't know if this Supergirl will ever be the CW Supergirl. I think there's just a little bit too much spunk and sass and maybe punk in her a little bit to fully be that same CW Supergirl. And I think that's okay. I really do think that's perfectly fine, especially if the writing is certainly on point. So it always fascinates me that you always have this pull and pull, like pull and tug of like what people would like to see their characters be. And so this is another reason why, Stuart, why I just say tell the story that you want to tell, because you're never going to satisfy everybody. And I think people might be kind of impressed to be on this journey with Supergirl. So we'll see what it turns out to be. But I everything that they're saying is everything that I wanted to hear from them.
Yeah, I agreed. And yeah, I think that like we'll get change from Supergirl, but no, it's not going to be a drastic like she's one moment she's this Millie Alcock version of the character, and then the next movie she sees we see her in, she has a whole like big change, and now she's suddenly like the Melissa Benoist version of the character. I don't think anything like that's going to happen, but I do think we are going to see the character grow and change, like learning she can't drown her sorrows and booze, the rest of her life. Like I think that's the kind of lesson she's going to learn, and eventually she'll have to learn to break down those walls, let people in, and I think that's what we're going to watch develop over the next several movies. I wouldn't even expect her to have like that full to be completely changed by the end of this movie. Like maybe she puts down the booze, but she keeps the walls up, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she starts letting the walls down, but she keeps the booze. I think you gotta kind of leave room for her to grow a little bit more. I think in order to keep people engaged.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, look, I don't know how much of a selling point just the Supergirl name alone certainly is. When I think of Supergirl, there's not really like many memories or moments that I have of Supergirl outside of like her death in Crisis on Infinity Earths, right? Like, I mean, look, maybe comic book fans that know Supergirl and the bigger runs of Supergirl certainly would say otherwise. But I just don't know if Supergirl being that memorable of a character to have people be like, yes, I can't wait for a Supergirl movie. But I do think because of the fact that they are adapting something in which Supergirl was like personality wise vastly different, I do think that will draw a lot more eyes than just cookie cutter Supergirl that we've seen from the comic books for such a long time. There's so many multiverses and different worlds when it comes to the DCU. I'm sure there's plenty. Like Power Girl is an example of a Supergirl at one point in time that's got a lot of shit that she needs to kind of work through. That's a fascinating character to me. But like any other traditional Supergirls that we've had have always just felt really cookie cutter to me. And so I think if you're going to make a movie for Supergirl, you really got to change her up and do something different. And that's just the vibes that I'm getting from this movie. And I think it'll surprise a lot of people.
Definitely. And I kind of hope we get, because there are so many different versions of Supergirl like in the comic books, from Kara Kent to like the many other versions, and I do kind of hope we get to see that like on the big screen at some point in the future. Like I would love to see Power Girl on the big screen, and in fact, like if there was ever going to be a time to bring back Melissa Benoist, that would be it. If we ever get Power Girl having Melissa Benoist playing that kind of a version of the character, that would be pretty cool.
No offense to Melissa Benoist. I like Melissa Benoist. I'm just mean from like a character design perspective.
I don't think we're gonna get a comic book like accurate.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Power Girl.
I'm gonna say. Sweeney. What's her name? Sydney Sweeney. If you're available any day, please. But no, I don't know. Let's see here.
I'd be laughing so hard I accidentally knocked my headphones off.
Well, Marcelino said, I would like to see storylines from Supergirl Volume 5 and 6 be adapted, especially the storyline A Way of the World. It's very emotional. Very cool. See, so Marcelino will probably have some really cool ideas for like Supergirl series moments that not cookie cutter Supergirl, but traditional Supergirl that actually might work also. Do you think a super hot Supergirl would draw more eyes, or a solid actress like Alcock is better? I think Alcock is really pretty. Like I personally find her quite attractive. I know people get on her all the time about her overbite or her jaw. I see the Will Poulter comments like all the time in my and anytime we post Supergirl comments or posts on our Facebook page, I just know the Will Poulter comments are about to be flooded also. People are just so mean like that. But I don't know if you mentioned this a little bit when you talked about the God of War thing, about the importance that some fans have in regards to how pretty or how hot a character actually looks, as if that's important. I feel I see that all the time. I think Supergirl's another example of that also, where people are like, she's too ugly to be Supergirl. I'm like, what does that
Oh
have
yeah,
to what does that have to do with anything? But I
yeah.
do wonder if it's an interesting question.
It's like, I think with audiences, I think with general audiences, like overall, yes, someone who is more like traditionally attractive compared to, you know, their acting skills, it will draw more eyes, but I don't think it'll keep butts in seats. I think it'll draw eyes to the poster, but if you want people to like actually stay through the movie, you need talent. And I'm not saying you can't have both. Obviously, there are plenty of really great looking actors and actresses that can do both. And I think Milia Alcock is definitely one of them. But I'm just saying, like, in general, like if all you're looking for is beautiful women to play superheroes, just look up porn parodies at that point. If you care more about like the looks of like a superhero than you do about their acting skills, about like how they play the character, yeah, just look up either porn or I don't know, like
Barbed wire
cosplayers, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Go watch Barbed Wire or something.
Barbed Wire, yeah, that
Pamela
movie.
Anderson.
Yeah, Casablanca with boobs, basically. Wait, is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think so, right? She owns like a bar in that
I
movie.
believe so. I saw that once back in like maybe the 90s, and never again after that. I don't even remember when that movie came out. Early 2000s, late 90s. I can't remember. But yeah. Shout out to Pamela Anderson, by the way. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the little Supergirl preview that we had. I do expect more details and images to start emerging from Supergirl here as we get we're literally like 2 weeks away, man, from this movie releasing, maybe a little bit longer, maybe under like 3 weeks, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted with any new additional information as we draw closer to Supergirl. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. With that out of the way, Stuart, we will move on from one franchise to the other as we're going to get into some Acolyte talk. That's right. The Acolyte is back in the news, Star Wars fans. Leslie Headland is talking with Empire Magazine. Look, we have a changing of the guard over at Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni is now in charge, kind of moving forward, and you know, he seemingly is ready to start doing his own thing, but he's very much aware of other projects that are currently out there that Kathleen Kennedy has kind of left on his table outside of her tenure. One of the things that a lot of fans are not expecting is more of the Acolyte. At least based off of what some of the Disney executives have certainly said in regards to canceling the show after its very first season here. But there, trust me when I say this, Stuart, there are definitely some people, especially on social media, that feel like this particular series got robbed in regards to further growth in a potential season 2. Regardless of how you certainly feel about the Acolyte, there seems to be, even if it's a minority of Star Wars fans, to be some people are definitely requesting a little bit more. And if there's anybody that would like there to be a little bit more, it is in fact the showrunner Leslie Headland, as she had the opportunity to talk with Empire Magazine and say, hey, look, I'm still open to more. If you guys want to do more, I still want to do a season 2. As Disney Plus has recharted the show. The show is I think within the top 10. Without a second season, we'll never know, but fresh hope for the show arose recently when it recharted on Disney Plus around the release of Shadow Lord. You know, I had somebody tell me the other day, Stuart, because I posted this when it started charting on the top 10 over on Disney Plus. I posted about it on the Facebook page, and somebody in my comments said, it's only charting because it plays directly after Maul Shadow Lord. So he's suggesting that people are watching Maul Shadow Lord and they're just letting Disney Plus continue, and it just jumps right into the Acolyte. And he believes that that's why the show is recharting. I am kind of curious, like, if that's even a possibility for that to happen, to where that many people let the show just continue to where it just starts playing the episode and therefore it's capable of even making the top 10. That sounds crazy to me, but you think any truth to that?
I mean, I'd have to know if so when they look at numbers, at charting numbers, do they count things that just play, or is it like by hours, like how
You have
much of
to
it you
select.
watch? Because
Yeah.
if it's by hours, if it's by how much you watch, then no, I do not believe it's only charting because of Maul, because that's really dumb that someone would just like, let it play, and if they don't like it, they wouldn't just keep it on their TV. That's absolutely dumb if they think that's why it's trending, unless that's how it works on Disney Plus, unless it's only by viewership alone, in which case, okay, then maybe that's a possibility. But if it's by hours, by amount of time, definitely not.
The article also says, as more audiences caught up with the Acolyte years on, Empire spoke. It's been 2 years since this series aired, which is kind of crazy. Empire spoke to Headland, who expressed that she would return if a second season of the show ever got greenlit. I would still want to do it, absolutely. As more people discover it, I think people may want to see some form of the story come back. While a chapter of the story closed at the end of the season, Headland is clear on where she wants to go next. We do have a lot of stuff that we wanted to explore, including tying in lore to the sequels, she teases, giving into who exactly Manny's character is, his connection with Jedi Master Vernestra, his connection with Plagueis, and then his connection with other sequel established things. I think they're hinting a little bit more at the Knights of Ren. As I believe, they might have actually confirmed that Manny's character, the Stranger, might have been the beginning for the Knights of Ren. For now, fans can binge season 1 without waiting a week between episodes. A viewing experience Headland recommends. It was designed that way, she says. In a galaxy rife with possibilities, there may come a time for the Acolyte to somehow return. The weather changes with Star Wars, she says. There was a real negative reaction to the prequels, especially with a particular generation. And then 25 years later, Hayden is at Celebration. Trust in the Force. Ain't that the truth, dude? Ain't that the truth? Stuart, we reviewed this show. I feel like I ask you this question once a month, or almost like every 3 months when this article comes. It's been 2 years, brother. It's been 2 years. We reviewed this show together. I can't remember what this series wound up getting as an overall grade from us. 2 questions. 1, have you rewatched it at all since we reviewed it? And 2, now that we've had 2 years to take a step back, definitive answer, do you want a season 2? What are your thoughts on all of this?
So I think first of all, I have not rewatched it since we did our review for it. I think that if I'm looking back on our review for it, I might have been more positive on the show than I would have been if I was watching it now. And that was only because, 2 reasons, actually. 1, I wasn't sure what it was building up to, so I really wanted to give the show the benefit of the doubt. And then 2, dear God, I think honestly, if I'm being really honest, part of why my reviews were so positive is because I really did not want to be put in the same camp as like a lot of the chuds that were genuinely just like hating this because of it having a diverse cast. But in retrospect, I don't think the show was that great, but I still wanted a season 2, and I still do to this day think that a season 2 could work because I still maintain that the show had potential. I think there was a lot that the show had going for it that worked so well. I think that where the show, really failed me was kind of like what it was all building up to at the very end. I think that if it had stuck the landing, I would have felt so much more positively about the show in the long run, but the ending just felt so like out of left field in so many areas. It felt like they just completely rewrote oh God, what's his name? The Jedi Master in the show that we
Saul, Master
Saul. Yeah, Saul. Like it felt like his whole character was just completely rewritten during the last 2 episodes. So there was just like a lot about the ending of the show that just kind of like, made me look back on season one and go, I don't think I liked it overall. So, but that being said, though, again, I think that it had a lot of potential. I think it could have grown, like, had the show continued. And in fact, I think even Marcelino put in the comments that there was a time where it was kind of common for a first season of a TV show to kind of suck, and as the show goes, it gets better. Yes, Buffy, Parks, and, well, I've never seen Parks and Rec, so I can't say there, but Star Trek: The Next Generation was definitely one of them. The Clone Wars was definitely one of them. A lot of them had a very rough first season. And so I think this is one that just needed another season to find its footing. And I think it could have really improved. Plus, it was just nice to finally get out of a timeline that we're familiar with, because we're so familiar with the prequel timeline and the original trilogy timeline. We even got a little post original trilogy timeline with all of Dave Filoni's shows with The Mandalorian, and the timelines we still haven't really explored that much in live action. I mean, yeah, we got the sequel trilogy, but we haven't really explored that era in live action outside the trilogy itself. And I know that's changing with the new X-Wing movie coming out, which I'm looking forward to. But apart from that trilogy, we haven't really explored that timeline in live action. And then, of course, the High Republic, the Acolyte, was our first time exploring that in live action, was the High Republic. So it's just, I feel like if that show had been more successful, if we had gotten more seasons, it could have led to a possibility of eventually exploring the Knights of the Old Republic timeline in live action. I keep specifying in live action because if I don't, I know that someone in the comments is going to say, oh, we explore this timeline in this comic book, in this novel, or in this one episode of Star Wars Visions. And I wanted to be clear, I'm talking like live action, because that tends to be what the most audiences will watch in terms of Star Wars. They tend to kind of cling to the live action side of it. So that's why I keep specifying live action. Anyway, so yeah, I wish it got a season 2. I think it could have gotten better. But yeah, I will say that yes, season 1 was definitely really rough. It's just too bad that all the actual critiques that good critics have given the show was just drowned out by just the mountains of chuds that just like review bombed the show because it's too diverse.
Yeah, I gotta say, look, I will say if Jeff Bezos can give Rings of Power another shot, Disney could give the Acolyte season 2 another shot. I mean, Jeff Bezos literally committed millions of dollars to this Lord of the Rings IP and rights to do television for it. They had a lot invested in it, like to the point to where it's just like they had a 5-year plan. And my boy Jeff Bezos is not going off of that whatsoever, despite some of the reactions that season 1 wind up getting. In fact, he had a meeting with them and was like, do better, guys. Like, I've got so much money wrapped up in this. I need you guys to do better. Now, Stuart, they've got season 4 in like early pre-production right now, because of the fact that they took a step back. They went ahead and saw the flaws in season 1, and they improved upon them in season 2. And now people are excited for a 3rd season. Like, if Jeff Bezos can commit to really sticking with an idea that he thinks really works, I wish, and not to say that Jeff Bezos is competent, but I wish that we had people like that in Disney, in the sense of like, we're gonna give this a shot. Like, there's too much new and too much good kernels of Star Wars within the Acolyte to just not continue to pursue. The fact that we are in a brand new era, the Stranger was like one of the coolest things out of this, and we're just gonna waste that character potential. I love the fact that in this interview, Leslie Headland like highlights, I think, some of the great aspects that were in the Acolyte that she know that people are going to gravitate towards. Like, yeah, I want more of that. Like, I need to find out about what's the relationship between him and Vernestra. I need to find out more about the relationship between him and Plagueis. Like, I need more great action sequences from this series that we wind up getting. Some of the best fight choreography I've seen since the prequels, if I'm being honest with you. Like, there is just a lot of kernels of goodness that I feel like if Disney and Lucasfilm had just committed to this show and said, look, Leslie, we need you to improve your writing. If you can't improve your writing, then we'll either bring in a new showrunner or we'll bring in a new writer, or we'll change the writers in the writing room to where we have to sit down. Like, if the writing is a problem, let's fix it. And I think had they just committed to doing something like that, I would say, similar to you, Stuart, while I had my qualms with this series, I still want a season 2. I think the possibilities of what it could be outweigh what season 1 presented itself certainly as to us. And I just think it's a really missed opportunity because of the fact, I think, Kiki and Lucas says, regardless of how you felt about the Acolyte, love it or hate it, it caused significant damage to the Star Wars brand. There's a part of me that kind of agrees with that, but I also think the early cancellation of it hurts the brand almost even more. Mm-hmm. And I think it hurts the brand even more because of the fact that now people are going to be a little bit more trepidatious. People are going to be a little bit more cautious. People aren't going to be wanting to take as wild swings. People are going to start thinking, oh, maybe that means they just want legacy characters. And Dave Filoni's known for that, right? Dave Filoni loves recycling characters that we've seen all the time. And people say, can we get new characters? Can we get new things? And we give it to them. And instead of giving them the opportunity to improve upon it and fix what's wrong with it, we immediately just go back to what we know. And I think that, yes, the Acolyte definitely damaged the Star Wars brand, but I think damaging it more is the idea of showing people that you have no faith in it to think that you can't even improve upon it or build upon it. And I just think from a storytelling and creative standpoint, the people that you bring in now going to be a little bit more trepidatious, right? Like James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi, not even being made, even though it's written and ready to go, sort of thing. That could have been a result of how people receive the Acolyte. We don't want to take big swings like that. That's just too new. Now, Dawn of the Jedi, probably not going to happen, right? So I do think they didn't do themselves any I don't think they did themselves any justice by canceling this show, certainly prematurely. I think there was certainly a lot left on the bone. I think, you no longer have like what felt like your two highest paid people on this show, Carrie Ann Moss, along with the actor that played Master Soul. So I would just think that there's ways to get around production costs a little bit more. So it's just, do I think we're going to get a season 2? No, I don't think it's going to happen. I'll still #renew the Acolyte all day, every day. But I just don't think Dave Filoni and the others want to take a shot on this because of just how the reaction towards it is very vitriol. And I think it was a mistake, Stuart. I really do think it was a mistake for them not to just stick with their guns and pull a Jeff Bezos here. But what do I know? What do I know?
Yeah, going back to Dave Filoni, I saw something, and I'm sure this was mostly a joke. So I don't want to kind of talk too much smack about my man Dave Filoni, because again, he's really talented and all that. But supposedly he was trying to nag Jon Favreau into putting Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and Grogu, going back to how much he loves his fan service and all that. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, how would that have worked? You're the one who threw her in a completely different galaxy. How would you expect her to fit in this completely standalone movie?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it certainly did not happen. Like, oh my God, I like Ahsoka. Don't get me wrong, but Dave Filoni's love for Ahsoka, it's like she doesn't have to be in everything, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, to be fair to the Ahsoka character, I have seen people that have said because of the time in which Ahsoka was created, that a younger and current generation really know Ahsoka and hold her up to this mantle of like a current generation's Luke Skywalker, if you will. I don't know if I don't know if people still feel that way about Ahsoka or if they really truly ever have. But I know she's a popular enough character, but it's just like let's just not force her into every single thing,
Yeah. Like I'm really glad they brought her back and I do look forward to her show. But like again, and I love fan service when it's done right, as much as the next guy. But I just my biggest worry is that if there's any truth into that, like again, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and assuming he was mostly joking when he said that. But if there is kind of truth to that, that does kind of concern me for the future of Star Wars, because as much as there's plenty about Patty Jenkins that like right that
with the Rogue Squadron,
or no wait, who was sorry, Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen
My bad. Sorry, I'm getting all the directors and producers mixed up. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy. Plenty of stuff that I wasn't the biggest fan of with her decisions when it came to Star Wars. But one thing I will give her credit for is her willing to throw money into things that were completely new, like a show like Andor, like obviously, yes, it was a character that we all knew, but like the story, the type of story that was being told with Andor was something that we had never seen in Star Wars before. And even though, she gave up on it way too fast, the fact that she even greenlit Acolyte in the first place was something like really incredible. And even with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, it's not great. I have a lot of problems with it. In fact, I still say as a whole, as a trilogy, the sequel trilogy fails like as a trilogy. I think they work as individual movies. As a trilogy, they fail like terribly. But I got to give credit. I'm glad she didn't like rely solely on the legacy characters to drive the plot forward until the last movie. But like we got two movies that, relied a lot on original characters. And yes, you had the legacy characters, but they weren't like the focus. So that was something that I got to give Kathleen Kennedy for. And I hope that, Dave Filoni picks up at least a few things from her, because I think that even if you're not the biggest fan of how someone does their job, you still have to look at what they did right. You still have to look at what was successful on their end. So I hope Dave Filoni sees that and doesn't turn Star Wars into just basically, a simple, safe snack, if that makes sense. Something that he knows is going to please fans, but isn't really going to elevate Star Wars,
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You have to be able to take those take those big swings like Kathleen Kennedy did, even if they didn't all necessarily turn out with greatness. Andor is the best Star Wars in my opinion since the original trilogy, says Kiki and Luca. I really don't doubt that at all. I kind of feel the same way. Do you think it's odd that Star Wars prequels are so popular now? When the movies came out, they were criticized and hated so much that George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney.
No, it's not weird because okay, maybe because Adam, you're older than me, so you probably have a very different memory of the prequels than I do. But keep in mind, I was 4 years old when Phantom Menace came out, right? And so a lot of people my age were really young when the prequel trilogies came out. So we didn't we watched when we watched the prequel Star Wars trilogies, we didn't really care about the bad acting or like kind of the weird leaps in logic with when it came to some of the plot like what's contrivances, I guess you could say. So we didn't care about that. We just enjoyed the characters, we enjoyed the fights, and we enjoyed like just seeing how it all was eventually going to tie into the original trilogy. It was a huge fun ride. And then as we got older, that was when we learned, oh, it turns out people older than us don't like this trilogy, huh? Isn't that strange? And so it feels like when it came to the Disney sequels, by the time those came out, my generation that grew up on the prequels were all adults. So we had that nostalgia for the prequels. We held on to that nostalgia. And that's why my generation loves the prequels. And that's the generation you see all over the internet praising the prequels and then shitting on the Disney sequel, saying that Disney's the one that ruined Star Wars. Whereas if you took people who are, our age, but, back in the 90s, they were saying the, exact same thing that, my generation is saying about the sequels, but to the prequels. They were saying, oh, yeah, George Lucas ruined Star Wars with these prequels. These are garbage. And obviously, I've even referenced that one song that went viral that, will demonetize us if I title it. So, yeah, there were a lot of people who absolutely hated the prequels back in the day. And it's so funny how people of my generation tend to forget that. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find it odd that they're popular now, but I do think in hindsight, when I went and saw when I went and saw Phantom Menace, I was so hyped for that movie, and I was bored to tears, bro. I was bored to tears, with the exception of like the final sequence, but it was Star Wars, and so I think a part of me kind of played up the idea of like I liked it, I really liked this sort of thing. No, I in reality I didn't. I really just did not care for it. But what I will give George Lucas credit for is I do think there's improvement upon each movie as the trilogy goes on. I think Attack of the Clones is better than Phantom Menace. I think Revenge of the Sith is better than Attack of the Clones. And one of the things that I think George Lucas continued to build on, that I think people that once shitted on the prequels now view in hindsight, is I think the aesthetics for those movies is gorgeous. I think his world building is incredible. The lore, the mythology that kind of comes out of that, the further relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, like those are all really pivotal and emotional like plots. It's a lot different from a Phantom Menace when we don't really see that type of relation. Well, you see the relationship a little bit between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, but having Anakin so small at that age, there's just a lot more stuff to explore in episodes 2 and 3. And for me, like, I think most of the Star Wars prequel stuff that I have collected over the years, whether that be posters or memorabilia stuff, is all Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith stuff. Like the posters, the marketing stuff, all so beautiful. And so I think in hindsight, looking back on the prequels, while to this day I will still say like episodes 2 and 3 from just like a directing I still don't think that they're great movies or good movies. Don't get me wrong. Like I still will shit on the Phantom Menace from time to time. I think I have a little bit more of appreciation for it though, because of the impact that the prequels really have had to Star Wars in general. And I think the fact that they took all that time over the years to build up the prequels and other things like a Clone Wars movie or like a Clone Wars television series, that all helps boost, I think, people's experience going back and reviewing the prequels now these days. So yeah, it was just definitely different back in the day. But like, I even went to Star Wars Celebration 3 for Revenge of the Sith. So I was like, after Attack of the Clones, I was clearly hyped for what was like about to come when it comes to Revenge of the Sith, and I thought the movie was great too. But yeah, I just think in hindsight, it's easy to shit on Phantom Menace because it was just a bore fest. But I think looking back now, you realize just its impact on Star Wars overall and some of its main characters. And it's a lot more digestible and enjoyable for sure. I mean, Revenge of the Sith is like top 3, top 4 Star Wars movies for me, and it's it's not that like I don't want to say it's not that great, but it's like, I mean, it is great, but it's just like the writing still suffers. The directing's not the best, but for some reason, it's just its impact. I think an emotional toll is like, man, it's everything.
2 last things I'll say about the subject.
Yeah, no,
because man, I can talk about Star Wars way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one channel, because you were talking about the marketing for the prequels, and man, the marketing for those movies were insane, especially when it came to the tie-in merchandise.
Love it.
So a channel I've been kind of I really enjoyed looking through. It's called Pixelated Erica, and she basically is just this collector who has so much like nerdy memorabilia And so a lot of it though comes from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and it's so funny looking at all of her merchandise, all the stuff that she's collected over the years from The Phantom Menace, that it's like, man, I still remember these. Like, you know, a lot of, like, whether it be the action figures, whether it be like the Jar Jar Binks lollipops where it's his tongue as the lollipop that he licked, like that kind of stuff. It's like so incredible, because it's like I remember all that being like marketed back in the day, but of course, I wasn't exactly not to say that we were poor growing up, but we weren't exactly the richest. So of course, we couldn't exactly afford all that. But it's always like really cool to just kind of like see that stuff like still existing today. And then the other thing, last thing I'll say, in terms of how I feel in retrospect about the prequels, and then with the Star Wars sequels, I will maintain this. I think the prequels as a whole, as like a big picture, is great. Like the story it tells, especially when you consider the context of the Clone Wars and everything that's expanded that world since then. I think as a whole, the prequel trilogy is incredible. Individual movies, not so much, and I still stand by that. I find it funny that I think that the Disney sequels are like the opposite, because I think individually every single one of the sequel movies, if you watch them in a void without the context of the other films, they all work really well as their own individual films. Even Rise of Skywalker, which I shit on so much, if I watched that movie without having seen episode 7 or 8, I would have probably loved that movie so much more. It's really just like watching it with the context of episode 7 and 8 that make me not like it as much. So I think it's like kind of funny, like it's like the strengths and weaknesses of the prequels and the sequels are the exact opposite of each other. Yeah, prequels a better picture as a whole, but not so much individually. Sequels, great individual films, a terrible like trilogy, basically.
Marcin says people today will say that the prequel was a small minority and try to rewrite history and saying it was never hated. Oh no, it was shitted on. Trust me.
Oh yeah,
as somebody who was there, it was shitted on. Phantom Menace got so much goddamn hate. It was pretty intense. I can see why George Lucas was just like, why would I make any more when everyone yells at me all the time and says what a terrible person I am? I don't blame you, George. Like I do not blame you. So don't let anybody ever change history for you. But I will say, and we've talked about this a little bit. 20 years from now, people will love the sequel trilogy. There will just be a generation of people that will swear by the sequel trilogy. There's just no doubt about it. And I've said this before. I think the best movie. Look, I still love The Force Awakens. It's like I every time I watch it, it's just a fun adventure ride for me personally, despite the fact that people will argue it's just a rehash of New Hope, whatever the argument certainly may be. The Force Awakens for me has incredible rewatchability, but I still think The Last Jedi will walk out of this trilogy as being one of the best movies out of this trilogy. And while people continue to shit on it to this day, I'm telling you, Stuart, in like 20 fucking years, we're going to review this, and people are going to adore that movie. And people will be rewriting history about The Last Jedi and how great people loved it. Despite it was just a small minority of people, though, in 20 years, Stuart. But yeah, for sure.
Man, I will say this too. Like with the prequels, you never had the discourse that you had with the Last Jedi. I don't think there's ever been a bigger discourse for any Star Wars movie than The Last Jedi. Yeah. And I think it's just because of a lot of people who liked the movie didn't just like it, they loved it. And a lot of people who disliked the movie didn't just dislike it, they hated it. Whereas like the prequels, I don't think like if someone likes the prequels or dislikes their prequels, there's usually not like an argument one way or another. But with The Last Jedi, it's like if someone likes it, if someone who doesn't like it like The Last Jedi sees someone who did like The Last Jedi, they can't just let it go. There's got to be like a no, something's wrong with you. You can't like The Last Jedi. You're not a real Star Wars fan if you do.
But yeah, we can talk about this all day. We definitely could talk about this all day, but we do have some other topics we got to get into today. So from one star project in regards to wars, we're going to go to another star project, this time surrounding Gates. That's right. Stargates is in the news. I feel like we literally just talked about this just a couple of months ago, maybe like 2 months ago, Stuart. Amazon announced Stargate television series is coming back. They had a whole like filmed reveal for it in a big Zoom call, bringing in the original writers of Stargate to go ahead and showrun and create a new modern version for Stargate, with them suggesting the idea that might be some continuity in here, but still accessible to brand new fans. Stuart, that is null and void as of right now. Apparently, according to Variety.com, the series has been canceled before it unfortunately ever begun. My heart is crushed. I've been looking forward to more Stargate for the longest time, and it seems as a Stargate fans are going to have to wait just a little bit longer. Let me go ahead and pull up this article for you guys. This one comes to us from Variety.com. Stargate TV series from Martin Jarrow not moving forward at Amazon. This is an exclusive article here. The TV series has been axed at Amazon. Variety has learned exclusively. The show was first announced with the series order. Okay, so it was back in November, so it was more than 6 months ago. It felt like it was just yesterday. It hailed from writer and executive producer and showrunner Martin Jarrow, who was a writer on Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis early in his career. According to an individual with knowledge of the situation, Amazon execs were concerned that Jarrow's take on this series would not have broad appeal beyond the franchise's already dedicated fan base. It was first reported back in 2022 that Amazon was looking to develop new projects in the Stargate universe. Although Jarrow's series will not proceed, Amazon is still exploring new ways to further the franchise. Martin Jarrow does remain under an overall deal with Amazon MGM, though. No plot details were ever released for his take. So it looks as though this television series, show run by Martin Jarrow, has in fact been axed, but it does seem as though they want to do something with this property. And I think they should do something with this property. I still think there's an opportunity for Stargate to be revitalized and have sort of a second life. I really do. I think that there's a real hunger for great sci-fi. And I think Stargate has the potential of being great sci-fi. You know, I'm of two thoughts here, especially as somebody who is a big diehard Stargate fan. I am bummed to hear this news. Like I really am. I really would have loved to have seen Martin Jarrow back. See what he's capable of doing, of pushing the story forward, how much continuity was going to be involved. You know, we are talking about a Stargate franchise who has had like 10 seasons of Stargate SG-1, at least like 3 to 5 seasons of Stargate Atlantis, maybe 1 season of Stargate Universe. There's a lot of lore and mythology kind of built into it. So I was always interested to see if this new showrunner who's got that experience would just continue where it's at, or if this was going to be like brand new characters, but maybe some returning characters in the sense of like the old guard passing it on to the new guard sort of thing. So a part of me definitely bummed in that regards. But there's a part of me that also doesn't blame Amazon for this a little bit, because there's a part of me that feels like that moniker of you can't teach an old dog new tricks makes me wonder if that holds true with somebody like a Martin Jarrow, who is so used to this particular world that like his style of writing is still that of when this show dropped back in like the early 2000s sort of thing. And if it's evolved at all to be capable of still giving Stargate fans what they want, but sticking too true to what Stargate was, that his writing wasn't flexible enough to feel new and fresh and energetic and something that is easily accessible to just any general audience member. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what Amazon MGM is really focusing on a little bit these days, right? Like, I think maybe even with their 007 franchise, like while they understand what James Bond is, I feel like they probably are given the direction of give me new, give me fresh, though, right? Same thing when it comes to them doing the Masters of the Universe movie, having to be accessible for not just people that that are fans of the franchise, but people that have never watched a He-Man episode. You want this movie to be something that they can just easily jump into. And so I can see a situation as to why Amazon would want something like that for its Stargate television property, because of the fact that there's so much lore and so much mythology surrounding this series. It's just a lot for general audiences who have never watched the show to just kind of jump on board with. And so there's a part of me that feels like because Amazon is still looking to explore options for this franchise, I don't necessarily know if a series is completely out of the question still, or if just what Martin Giro was presenting as the showrunner for this series is just sort of out of the question. So I am hoping that they are maybe looking at other writers, anybody that has like an idea that's really fresh to them that maybe they kind of want to explore at some point in time. I can still see a Stargate TV series happening, just maybe under a new direction and a new showrunner. But I'm willing to explore it in other ways too. If they want to do something a little bit more on the animated side, I would be really open and eager to something like that too. But I need Stargate back in my life, and I think Amazon understands the importance of this IP and certainly getting it right. So while this definitely hurts, there's a part of me that definitely understands at the same time that we can't just appeal to the fans of people that love this stuff. You have to make it a broader appeal. And I just have a feeling that maybe after getting an idea of like some of his early scripts or what he was trying to aim for, I can see Amazon saying, nah, we just can't move forward with this as of yet. So I think there's a potential here, a future here, just under a different vision, Stuart. But yeah, you hear this news. Any thoughts on what's going on here?
Yeah, so I guess like so for me as someone who actually has still yet to watch any Stargate, including the movie, like I guess I it's hard for me to say. I think I would have to like look at what the showrunner was going for to know whether or not this is something that I, as someone who's never seen Stargate, could get into. But I don't know. It's like whenever you reboot a show, that's always kind of going to be the risk that you run into, is that you want to draw in a new audience, but you also don't want to alienate the fans that created this that created the show's popularity, the legacy to begin with. So it's hard to say. Like, I guess if this was a direct sequel to the series and it relied too much on the fans to understand what was going on, then I could see where Amazon was coming from. But I guess if it's like kind of a reboot that did use a lot of continuity but wasn't like solely reliant on that continuity, then yeah, I do think they should have at least given this movie or given this show a pilot to see how it resonated with people before making the final decision. I think that's like something that's missing a lot with streaming nowadays is the pilot seasons. Because we don't have those, it's hard to really know whether or not something
Yes.
could like actually work until you actually like see it for yourselves. So yeah, like for me, I think it's I can see why it's very disappointing. For me, I'm not disappointed personally because again, I got no attachment to Stargate, but I think that if I was in charge of Amazon, I would have tried to work something out before canceling it, honestly.
I get you. Yeah, you might be onto something there. I would agree. Although I will say this, I do feel like streaming services are trying to get back to that the pilot stuff. Um, I just saw Netflix do that with A Different World, especially because of the fact that it was kind of comedic in nature, that they ordered a pilot before they ordered the series. There's even another story towards the end of this that we'll talk a little bit about it, that Hulu might have picked up just a pilot for it. So I do think some streaming services are becoming a little bit more aware of the idea of like, yeah, we probably should see what the show is going to be like before we do full green light orders of television series. So maybe that could have been something else to kind of see like what their development would have been, putting money a little bit of money towards a pilot season and see if it sticks its landing or not, to kind of push forward before completely axing it. But again, I am kind of curious as to what it is that Martin Giro did in his writing or in his scripts that really turned Amazon off to all of this so quickly, 6-7 months in. So we'll see, but we'll keep you guys updated and posted on anything if Stargate gets any new updates in the future. But let us know your thoughts on the cancellation of Stargate. Next up, Stuart, we're going to go dive a little bit more into movies here, as believe it or not, Escape from New York is back in the news here. The classic John Carpenter film starring Kurt Russell is back in the news because it looks like they're trying to do a reimagining of it, Stuart, a potential remake for this classic. And believe it or not, they have plans on it being helmed by none other than one of our favorite directors of all time, Zack Snyder. That's right. Zack Snyder looking to reimagine Escape from New York. Empire Magazine wind up was it Empire? I'm sorry, the Hollywood Reporter wind up talking a little bit more about this. Zack Snyder not necessarily on the best run of his life. Two Rebel Moon movies that some people would say extremely forgettable. But Zack Snyder's getting another opportunity here after teasing us with a bunch of DCEU photos that he continues to post on like a weekly basis and hopes he gets to go back to that. Zack Snyder tackling reimagining of John Carpenter's Escape from New York. This is an exclusive from the Hollywood Reporter. Some folks may have heard that Snake Plissken is dead, but Zack Snyder is not one of them. The filmmaker behind 300 and Zack Snyder's Justice League has come aboard to write and direct a reimagining of Escape from New York, the classic dystopia action movie from John Carpenter that introduced audience to the cool eye patch wearing Cobra tatted anti-hero. Sources tell the Hollywood Reporter the feature project is being put together and will be taken out to market in the coming weeks and marks the first concrete steps of getting Escape from New York movie up and going in years. And the intent is to release the feature theatrically, according to sources. So it looks like they're going to maybe have a little bit of a bidding war on this as they take it out to the market here relatively soon. They do have a producer, which includes John Carpenter, who controls the underlying rights to the property. It looks like that's all. Snyder's take on the material is being kept in the briefcase, but it is known that the director aims to make a more down and dirty movie, using plenty of practical effects or locations like he did when he remade Dawn of the Dead as his feature debut, rather than something more overtly slick, such as his later superhero hits.
Wait. He can still do that? I'm honestly shocked.
Hollywood has been attempting to mount a redo for years, but it's been tricky to make anything stick. So, it looks as though Zack Snyder is going to write and direct the project for Escape from New York, and they're going to go ahead and test the markets and see if they can get a nice bid on who wants to win this opportunity for this movie to be made. Stuart, how are you? First off, have you seen the Escape from New York? And then how are you feeling about the idea of Zack Snyder giving a remake of a facelift here?
Okay, yeah. So I've seen Escape from New York. Really enjoyed that movie back in the day. It has been a minute, but I can say that my favorite thing about the movie was never necessarily the writing. Not that the writing was bad, but obviously it was kind of like the sorry, I got the hiccups. 1 second. I think I'm good now. Okay. Okay. So anyways, it was, obviously the kind of build, or it was like kind of the build up, the tension that was always kind of like lingering with our main character, and of course the action was always really good too. The set pieces were incredible. And then, Kurt Russell's performance, freaking awesome. Right. So but the writing not necessarily like the most solid, but it was passable. And the reason I bring up the writing specifically is because when it's come to a lot of Zack Snyder's most recent films, specific, especially when it came to the DC side of Zack Snyder, the writing has not been the best at all. But I think that if he's adapting a movie like Escape from New York, the writing doesn't need to be as focused. The only thing he really needs to focus on is making the movie look good. And hearing that he's going to be using a lot more practical effects and like on set locations, that's pretty cool because he doesn't do that often. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that he only uses CG, that he doesn't use like actual sets, because like looking at Rebel Moon, there was even like I believe he built an entire town for Rebel Moon at one point. But there is still a lot of like kind of CG that goes into those movies, so it is kind of cool for this one with him going back to some of the more practical effects like in Dawn of the Dead. So that's really cool to hear. So for me overall, I think this is interesting. I think this could work. This is a project that I think fits really well with Zack Snyder's strengths. I think this is something that could actually end up yeah, I think it's something he could really excel at. I'd be very curious to see what direction he would want to take it. Like, I'm assuming he would probably just make almost the exact same movie, but with more modern effects. And as long as he does that, I don't think the writing is something we really need to worry about with this movie. And I think that's like the number one thing of why I think Zack Snyder can actually work really well for this project. So I think it's kind of cool overall.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth about this one, because Zack Snyder is one of those directors that if he announces he makes a movie, I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna try and check it out, because of the fact that I've seen some of his talent in other things. I have been really worrisome in regards to his writing per se. From a directing standpoint, I dig his style. I really like um I really enjoy him as a director. Sometimes it tends to be the writing elements that really just drag me down. I mean, I saw the first Rebel Moon. I don't think I saw the second Rebel Moon. But I didn't really care for the first one. Like there's some really cool aspects of the first Rebel Moon, but it just doesn't work coherently for me. I even was a big fan of Army of the Dead that he wound up doing
Oh yeah.
for Netflix. I thought that was actually a really fun one that had a potential of like really being explored a little bit more, but that kind of just went nowhere. I think they had one spin-off movie out of that particular world, but anything else big that they had planned, they just didn't do it. But Army of the Dead was really fun to me. So look, I will say this. I'm gonna be really hesitant on this, because Escape from New York is a classic. But like you, Stuart, I almost feel like from a directing standpoint, his style could work for this movie. I don't think from a stylistic perspective, this is a bad choice for him. My area would be just his writing. But if I'm being fair, I think Zack Snyder's probably better at adapting than he is original concepts. You look at 300, that was adapted, and that's a great fucking movie that Zack Snyder did, that he wrote and directed, but he adapted that. Watchmen is an adaptation of a huge DC Comics miniseries, and I love that fucking movie. Like, especially the extended cut of Watchmen. I'm a really big fan of it. I thought he adapted that beautifully. Even Dawn of the Dead, an adaptation, another great movie. And his I'm looking at here it says his first animated feature, Legend of the Guardians, is adapted directly.
Forgot about that.
And I think people enjoy that movie too. So, when it comes to adaptions, I think if he sticks to the source material and doesn't try and get too outside of his box, he might be able to kind of make this work. And so I'm gonna give Zack Snyder, despite Rebel Moon, I'm gonna give Zack Snyder the opportunity here to prove me wrong once again. I think he's capable because of his directing style. I think his directing style would look really good for something like Escape from New York. But if he can continue a really solid streak of making good adapted films, then I might give this one a shot. I might give this one a shot. So yeah, I'm like you. We'll see what happens here, but I'm probably a little bit more cautious. But I think there are things here that line up to show this might be a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, definitely cautious, but I'm not like dreading this or anything like that.
Yeah, I think when I first read it, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like, oh God. But then I'm thinking about like, well, he's not writing it just based off of like an original story or concept. If he is adapting it, then he at least has some guidelines and some rails, like bumper rails for bowling. He may not necessarily get a strike, but he'll stay in the lane. You know,
Yeah,
to be
that's a good way to put it,
like,
honestly.
if you can give me a solid spare, brother, I'll be I'll be happy with it. But I think the adaptation definitely helps put up the bumpers to keep them kind of in line a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to that. I know Kiki and Steven, I know Marcelino is not a big fan. I don't expect Zack to redeem himself because he's a talentless hack. He's never good outside of looking good. Other lesser known directors deserve his position. I mean, you may not be wrong in certain areas. But yeah, just something about his style. I'll take. Mm-hmm. Speaking of escape from New York and just the streets in general, believe it or not, a video game adaptation is headed our way of Streets of Rage, baby.
Yeah,
that's right. Taking place in the mean, gritty streets. I don't even know if it's in New York City or Chicago or where this place. Do you even know where Streets of Rage takes place? What city this is? I don't even know.
I'm gonna Google this because now I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. But Streets of Rage, believe it or not, is in the news. I loved playing the first two on my Sega Genesis. After 2, though, you'll wind up losing me. I might have played 3 once here or there. I think they even have like 4 versions. Not to say 4 versions, but like 4 video games of Streets of Rage, maybe even more.
Yeah, the 4th one is relatively new.
Is it? Okay. It was always a great, like, kind of side scroller for me, button mashing, beat 'em up sort of thing. Always loved the characters. Blaze was my favorite. And whoever the skater was in the second one, I can't remember his name, with the skates, awesome. Absolutely loved it. But because of the fact that video game adaptions these days are just becoming more and more popular, whether that be movie-wise or taking a swing on the small screen, it looks as though Streets of Rage movie adaptation is in development, as we apparently have writers that have been brought on board. So let's take a look at this. This actually comes to us from Variety.com. Says Sega Streets of Rage movie sets Sonic the Hedgehog writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller. And they also have a director, Jameis Samuel, to direct for Lionsgate. The film adaptation for Streets of Rage video game is live and well at Lionsgate and has found its new writers. Paramount Pictures' Sonic the Hedgehog film franchise masterminds Pat Casey and Josh Miller. In addition to the Sonic duo, the Harder They Fall filmmaker Jameis Samuel has joined the project to direct The Harder They Fall. What movie is that? The Harder They Fall. Oh my God, that's the Western, the Black Western with Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors, RJ Seiler, Zaza Beetz. That was a great fucking movie.
Damn, this cast is okay. He's cast, and this was 2021. Okay.
He's set to be the director for the project. Casey and Miller board the Streets of Rage movie following their exit of Derek Kolstad, who had written the early draft of the screenplay when they acquired the rights back in 2022. So somebody's already taken a stab at this. Plot details are being kept under wraps, but Streets of Rage adaptation is described as leaning heavily into the cult classic video game known for its iconic characters, acclaimed electronic soundtracks, and beat-em-up action. Beloved for its beat-em-up gameplay and influential music selection, Streets of Rage was one of the most popular video game series of the 90s. This is what I don't know what quote this is coming. Oh, Samuel, the director, wrote, we and our partners at Sega know that Streets of Rage demand a bold filmmaker. James Samuel's visceral and explosive talent, not to mention his signature use of unforgettable music, is perfect for audiences both familiar with and new to the series. We are so excited for how he will bring this own memorable take to his beloved video game IP. So the Harder They Fall director, along with the writers for Sonic the Hedgehog, Stuart, are now helming this project here. Let me see. I think I went first, and then you went first. I went first. Who started the Zack Snyder commentary? Did I start it, or did you start it to kick us off?
I don't. I think I started it.
The Zack Snyder one, yeah. I think you might have started the Zack Snyder one too. Let me just say this: the fact that they have a new writer on board and a director on board lets me realize if they really like this script, this is probably going to be going into pre-production relatively soon, within like the next year. Anytime projects land both the director and a writer, there's probably some sort of shared vision that they both have in regards to what they want to bring to this. Now, the idea of like the Sonic writers make me wonder like what the tone and the vibe of this movie is going to be. Is it going to be too childish? Will they adult it up just a little bit more in here? But the fact that they've given us that Sonic has given us 3 movies and has built a huge franchise upon themselves, I am not going to sleep on these writers in regards to what they're capable of doing, of bringing another Sega franchise to hopefully become another billion-dollar franchise. That would be insane. But the fact that they talk about the idea of like what they really want to lean into in regards to the concept of its video game aspects, from it being like a beat 'em up, the electronic type of music, and maybe some really cool visceral action. Like when I think of Streets of Rage, Stuart, I don't know why. Like I kind of want them to really lean into the 90s aspect of things, whether that be from an aesthetics point of view, maybe even some cool electronic synth music. If maybe even take a little bit of a rip from the Johnny Cage style type movies that we saw highlighted in Mortal Kombat 2 a little bit. There was even wasn't there like a couple of spoof films of like this guy that was like a really badass guy, drove around, but it felt very video game-esque. I can't remember the short little films that they had of what this character's name was. But it almost felt very Streets of Rage kind of style to me a little bit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about. The one where he gets bit by a king cobra while getting struck by lightning at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what is that movie?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember off the top of my head. But like that's what I envision for like Streets of Rage. Like just really, really diving into the 90s element of it all. Like I could see just 3 people. This group of 3 people just walking down the street, just beating up thugs. Like I really would love to see what they're capable of doing here. So from a directing and a writing standpoint, it might say Sonic the Hedgehog writers, but I mean, based off of what Sonic the Hedgehog has given us when it comes to quality movies and expansive spin-offs and things like that, I think there's potential here for something really cool, really fun. Maybe give me a little like Scott Pilgrim versus the World elements in here, from maybe like a graphic standpoint, and you might be onto something. But as a fan of Streets of Rage, I would be interested to see what they could do here. Like I've been wanting like a Double Dragon-esque type of movie to be adapted. This would be like the next best thing for me. So yeah, give this to me, Stuart.
Yeah, like for me, man, I started the Streets of Rage franchise. I want to say it was freshman year of high school or middle school, because it was basically when there was this game that came out for the 5th generation consoles called Sonic Mega. It was like either Sonic Mega Collection or Sonic Genesis Collection, which there's actually another version of the game that came out for this generation console. It's like, I think that's called like the Mega Collection. So I think the one I got was the Sonic Genesis Collection. The one that's currently out is the Mega Collection. But anyways, exactly what it sounds like. It came with like, I want to say like 30 Sega Genesis games, and included with that big bundle of Sega Genesis games was the Streets of Rage trilogy. So I ended up playing all 3 Streets of Rage games back in the day. And yeah, those games are absolutely fun. Never paid attention to what the actual story was for these games, so I have no idea what to expect from the movie. Because to me, when it came to classic video games half the time, I kind of prefer just making up my own story in my head as I would play through them. So that was kind of my case with Streets of Rage whenever I would play it. I don't remember what story I made up in my head, but I remember I had a story in my head, and it made sense why I was going around with a kangaroo with boxing gloves beating people up.
I love it. I love it. I think I found it, Stuart. I think I found what
Kung Fury was the name of the movie that we were talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. Kung Fury. I thought I downloaded an image of it for those of you who where did it go? I thought oh, here it is. Let me see if I can pull this one up here. But yeah, I was definitely thinking of Kung Fury. Yeah. When I think of Streets of Rage, I think of something like Kung Fury. So give me something along those lines with some great directive work. I'll be here for it. The Laser Official. What's up, the Laser Official? We appreciate you coming through today for sure. Pexy says Eddie Skate Hunter is the name of your is the one who you're thinking about with the skates. Yes, I loved Eddie. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to the idea of Streets of Rage movie in development. If the director and the writer can get on board and with a shared vision, definitely expect more news of this movie to maybe go into development a lot sooner than we expect.
If this movie's successful, though, I got to work on my Shining Force screenplay because Sega, I got a pitch for you. I doubt anyone remembers this. I mean, I'm sure there's people that remember it, but my first RPG, and therefore I think anyone's first RPG is always going to be their favorite, Shining Force for me. So yeah, I'll get started on that screen adaptation and get it ready in time for Streets of Rage. And if it's successful, Sega, I got another success on your hands, right? Right after Streets of Rage.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in that regards. Hold on one second, Stuart. I think somebody's knocking at my door. Who is it? Cable Guy. As Cable Guy, believe it or not, is back in the news, Stuart. This is like one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies outside of like his Ace Ventura stuff. It's one of the reasons why I went to medieval times for my first time ever because of this movie. The cast was absolutely brilliant. And, Jim Carrey just portrays the crazy Cable Guy just so incredibly perfectly in regards to like most terrifying stalkers of all time. In regards to like just wanting to be your best friend. But Cable Guy is back in the news, not because of the fact, Stuart, that we're going to be getting ourselves another movie or anything like that, but it seems as though a television series may be certainly on the way, coming to us from none other than the former duo of New Girls here, and Jake Johnson along with Damon Wayans Jr. It looks as though they're both going to be both going to be starring in this television series here. And let's go ahead and bring up this article. This one comes to us from Deadline.com saying Jake Johnson and Damon Wayans to headline the Cable Guy inspired comedy pilot ordered by Hulu in the New Girl reunion. This is what we just talked about in the sense of like television series or streaming services that kind of get back to the pilot aspect of things. But according to Deadline here, it says Cable may be dying, but the cable guy lives on. Hulu has ordered a comedy pilot inspired by the Jim Carrey movie with Jake Johnson and Damon Wayans Jr. attached to star and executive produce. The pilot order comes on the 30th anniversary of the Ben Stiller directed black comedy, which debuted in June of 1996. I didn't know Ben Stiller directed this movie. That's crazy. That's crazy. The untitled project, yada yada yada. Okay. Johnson also headlines the new NBC comedy series Sunset PI. If the cable guy pilot goes to series, he will be able to do both. That would be interesting to have two long running two shows running at the same time that you're starring in. The pilot was written by Rob Rosell from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, along with Joe Pilruli and Luan Thomas from Cobra Kai. Big fans of the movie who are honoring it, not remaking it in the vein of what the Fargo TV series did with the Coen brothers feature. Still, the Cable Guy TV show is keeping closer ties to the original than Fargo did, as it stars Johnson and Wayans Jr. are playing versions of the central character from the movie, Chip and Steven. I'm kind of curious as to who will be playing who. Who do you think out of this duo is going to be the cable guy, and who do you think is going to be the Matthew Broderick role?
I think Peter Parker is going to be the cable guy, and
you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think the other guy's going to be Matthew Broderick, only because Jake Johnson, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I feel like I could get like a creep. I could see him playing a creepy stalker really well, honestly.
yeah. I can see that. Let me bring this article back up here. It does say in a world of endless streaming, binging, and algorithms, old school cable technician. Oh, it clarifies that for us already. Old school, it gives it away. Old school cable technician Chip Douglas, who plays Johnson, languishes alone until Steve Stevens, Wayans Jr. calls to have his cable turned back on, reconnecting Chip with the childhood friend he never forgot. The relationship gives each man something he's been missing until Chip's enthusiasm turns into obsession. So that's what it looks like. So it says Johnson's going to be playing the cable guy, Chip.
Okay.
Until Stevens calls to have his cable turned back on. So he will be Wayans is going to be playing Matthew Broderick role, it looks like. So interesting, man. Interesting. Look, I'm looking forward to this, Stuart. What about you, man?
I gotta watch them. Yeah, I think there's potential in this. The two of them, I've never seen New Girl, but I've seen Let's Be Cops, and I've seen them both in other. Yeah, and I've seen them both in other projects too. Not together, and I think they're both really funny, talented individuals. So yeah, I think this idea for a project has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think so too. I did like them a lot in New Girl. I certainly want to see a little bit more of them together. I forgot that they were in Let's Be Cops, but I do like, just from a chemistry perspective, I think they're really great together. So yeah, I'm definitely open to this. I'll definitely see what when it drops, I might watch the first episode or so and see how it lands, but certainly open to it. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to Cable Guy television series. And with that out of the way, Stuart, that will wrap it up for all of our main topics here today. And I think with that out of the way, I think you know what time it is, sir.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And it is now time for our live viewer questions portion of the show. If you ever want to submit a live viewer question, how do you go about doing so? Well, let me go ahead and show you guys. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and make a post over on our YouTube channel. As you see here, this is our YouTube channel. Click on that post tab right here. And voila, live viewer questions posted 14 hours ago. Looks like we got 11 comments here. Let's put these by newest and knock these out of the park, shall we? So let's kick things off with Peg C here today. If you had to save the world from complete chaos, which superhero or superheroes would you want to fight alongside you? Ooh, from complete chaos. How big should our team be, Stuart?
Let's go with a team of 5.
Yeah, I think 5 is a good one.
See, I could cheat here because from a certain point of view, does God count as a superhero? And then at that point, it's like, can you lose?
I think I got my 5 already, Stuart.
All right. You know what? You can do your 5 first. I'm gonna write down my 5. I'm gonna make it just an absolute. I'm gonna make it a complete mess on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, this might be like very chalk here. But my 5 would be, first off, from DC. I need Batman and Superman, bro. Like, I need Batman and Superman. And that might be an incredible cheat code already, but I need Batman and Superman. Secondly, give me Captain America and Wolverine, because I need somebody that's going to be willing to do the dirty work and get in there. I feel like I can count on Batman and Wolverine to be the ones okay with doing the dirty work. Superman, the overpowered one. Captain America, try and keep the team, focused, giving out the orders, coming up with the game plans and stuff. And last but not least, Goku. Can I get Goku up in here too? Because I mean, if I'm trying to save the world, I need power, and I need experience, and I need more martial arts backgrounds. I don't have anybody with magic, and that probably kind of sucks. I probably should put somebody in there with a magic skill of some sort, or whatever the case may be. But I just believe enough in like the power of Superman and Goku to be overwhelming enough to help out and save the planet. So that would be my 5.
All right, give me just 30 more seconds, and I will have mine. I just gotta look one quick thing up. Okay, cool. Okay, so I got my 5, and I'm going through all different kinds of walks of life here. And again, it's all about perspective on whether or not you could actually like consider certain characters to really be superheroes, but we'll go with this. So first off, I want to go with Superman. I want to go with the most obvious one, Superman, but obviously the fun has to start somewhere. So my next would be Deadpool, just because I think it would be hilarious to have that contrast with Superman and Deadpool. And just to add a little more chaos to that whole thing, let's throw a kid in there. Let's throw Ben 10 in there too. And I want the young, unexperienced Ben 10, still 10 years old, Let's do that. And then to make things even more fun, because after the world has been saved, there's going to be a fun aftermath by having Goku involved with this, because I'm also going to go with Goku. Hey. And I think what would be fun about that is, for a fact, after it's all done, his first thought is going to be to look at, he probably wouldn't care about Deadpool, but he'd look at Ben 10 and Superman, go like, I want to fight you guys now so I can get stronger. So let's add to some chaos. And then finally, let's go with someone who does not give a shit about casualties. And we'll go with the realm of video games with Kratos from God of War. Because I think in a certain point of view, he can be kind of a superhero-ish kind of character. I mean, he's taken down gods. And this is a dude that, again, will not give a crap about the casualties along the way. So I imagine the most fun thing about this whole dynamic of superheroes is Superman trying to keep everyone in line. And I imagine that would be the most fun part about this. So that would be my lineup.
I love it. Kiki and Luca says, thanks for the show today, guys. Really appreciate it. Hey, we always appreciate you, Kiki and Luca. Thank you so much. And shout out to you also again for the great Michael Giacchino poster that you wind up sending me the other day. We did highlight it last week. I don't remember if you were here or not though, Kiki and Luca, when we did, but just want to say thank you again. Pexi also says, with the Michael Jackson movie sequel in the works, do you think it should address the allegations against Michael and the time LaToya Jackson made accusations about him, which LaToya later said her husband made her do it? What are your thoughts? I don't know if the LaToya Jackson accusations would come up, just because the light in which they showed LaToya Jackson in the first one. They actually showed a lot more LaToya Jackson in her relationship with Michael than I expected that they certainly would. So I don't know if those would be brought up, but I think you almost have to address the allegations in regards to Michael Jackson. I would just be cautious to kind of see how those are addressed, but I do think that, you know, I don't think you can make a Michael Jackson sequel without there being some kind of perspective of the allegations. I mean, whether or not, you know, they want to redo the trial, if you will. But I don't know. I feel like that would just turn the movie into like you know, some sort of like a court movie. And I don't necessarily know if they like a more legal type of film. I don't know if they want to go that route with a Michael Jackson movie. But you know, I could see them doing the allegations, but also emphasizing his acquittal on all the charges, you know, just so that people are aware that he was found innocent and not guilty. So I would be kind of curious to see how that's handled, but I can't imagine a movie without the focus on the allegations, Stuart.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I think it will be addressed. I don't know exactly what kind of stance the movie will take on it, but if I had to guess, if I was a betting man, they'll probably go the route of like showing that he was acquitted for it, and then also showing, because like, you know, there are still some, of course, that like he that there are people that believe that, you know, he is actually guilty of, even if he was proven innocent for it. There are a lot of people that still think that certain ones that he's guilty for, because there's a lot of evidence for. But on top of that, though, the big challenging thing with him is that there were also people that were confirmed to have lied about the whole thing to begin with, because like the one that was brought up in the example, there was also a thing with the producer after Michael Jackson had quit, so he basically made up the whole scenario as well. Once he heard about the other allegations, he basically jumped right on it, trying to basically ruin his reputation. So what I'm saying is, like, there's a mixture of possibly real ones and then ones that are confirmed to be like absolute bullshit. So it would be like interesting to see how the movie addresses that. If they say, oh, because these ones were bullshit, it's all bullshit, or if it goes, oh, because of this, the bullshit now looks more real, like, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I get you. Marceline says the Michael Jackson court movie will at least have it stand out. Yeah, it definitely would.
Oh, yeah.
Pexi says the Netflix series is a complete hit piece. Yeah, I figured that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
You can tell how the fans received it also, because I think it's like an 8% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now for that Netflix hit piece. Pexi also says, on your Let's Talk Movies show, you recently covered the 87 live action Masters of the Universe movie. Would you ever consider reviewing other live action superhero productions, such as The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby, or The Amazing Spider-Man from 1977? Although both originally served as television pilots, they were produced and presented as full-length feature films. Also, would you consider reviewing the 1990s Captain America movie? I'm not opposed to it. We haven't really gotten to that point yet. If anything, I mean, we might be able to add some of these to our recommendations. We haven't really tackled any of the recommendations as of yet, just because I felt like we've had a lot of movies that that we've been really wanting to focus on that are currently in the box office, or like preparing for movies that are coming out into the box office. But I'm not opposed to reviewing those at some point in time. Are you, Stuart?
Not at all. Out of all of those, though, I think the Incredible Hulk one would be the one that would intrigue me the most, because it's a show that I've always been aware of, but I've never seen. So I'd be interested to watch the movie pilot, either that or the Trial of the Hulk, because that was Stan Lee's very first like cameo, nice. And I think that's the one where they bring in Thor. I can't remember.
We got AJ the Morphing Grid says, Nate Silva, a better modern recreation of Justin Stewart. While Blake Foster's Justin Stewart in Turbo was heavily criticized as a child prodigy who jarringly grew up into an adult-sized Ranger, it took until the second half of the season following the departure of the Zeo cast for him to be rewritten as relatable kid who made friends his own age, played soccer, and went out for pizza. Decades later, Beast Morphers introduced Nate Silva, a lonely child prodigy raised by a non-governmental organization whose tragic backstory led to the accidental creation of Evox and a unique brotherhood with a robotic Silver Ranger. Given that Nate was also automatically taller when morphed, unlike Turbo, where Justin would literally grow into an adult during the morph sequence, does Nate ultimately serve as a more successful and grounded modern recreation of the young prodigy archetype?
You know, I thought so. That was kind of my thought when Nate was like first introduced, because he looked the youngest out of the Beast Morphers cast.
Yeah.
But then like kind of like as the show kept going, they kind of treated it like he was the same age as them. So I'm not 100% sure if that was actually what they were going for. I think it was just the actor was just a little smaller than the others. I'm so sorry if that came off as mean, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I don't mean in the way that like. Because I don't mean in the way that Blake Foster meant it back in the day when he.
I was gonna say, didn't Blake like pick on him because of his size to be him being a Gold Ranger or some shit like that?
Yeah, he was like, why does this like? I think he like called him a weenie, and like I don't remember if the. God, am I remembering this wrong? Did he use a homophobic slur? I don't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, I will like not say that then, just in case I'm wrong. But he definitely called him a weenie. I do remember that specifically because my first thought was, wait, people still say that? I remember like kindergarten when that was like a common phrase, and then after
tell me you grew up in the 90s without telling me you grew up in the 90s, all right? Calling somebody a little weenie. Like, yeah, bro, I know what age you were born, what era you were born in.
But no, I loved what they did with Nate's character, and kind of giving him that Dr. K or adjacent, I should say, storyline with him, rather than being the one who invented Evox, being the one who brought sorry, not Evox, my bad, Venjix, rather than being the one who invented and Venjix, he's the one that brought him back. I thought it worked, and it was a lot better than Justin's storyline in Turbo, just because like with Justin, it kind of felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do with his character, and so I feel like his character kind of came off as too perfect most of the time, because he was like the smartest kid in his grade to the point where he got like boosted to high school, and then I don't know, it was like
yeah no, I agree. Marcelino's got a couple questions. What are your thoughts on this scrapped sequel for Chronicle? One of them would have been more of a direct sequel focusing on two new characters named Jake and Miranda becoming obsessed with Matt from the first movie, who has become a full-fledged superhero and create Iron Man suits to try to take him down. The second script would have been more of a next generation, taking place 10 years after the first, focusing on new characters. It would be about three girls just having graduated college, receiving powers, and becoming entangled with government who try to cover up events during the Seattle fight. I kind of like the first idea a little bit more, the more direct sequel focusing on two new characters, trying to creating Iron Man suits to try and take them down. That sounds interesting to me. I would probably go with that one if I had to choose.
Yeah, I think so. Keeping it connected with the first one instead of just like new characters happen to either come across the same thing or a different thing that gives them powers.
He also asks, if Marvel had the rights to Spider-Man from the beginning, what would happen? What would happen to the Spider-Verse films and Spider Noir? Would they not exist? Would they be MCU properties, or would Marvel just integrate them into the main MCU in some capacity? I don't think that they would exist, Stuart.
I don't either. Maybe it would have been a Disney Plus show, but it wouldn't have been the movie that we got, basically.
Yeah, maybe some of those characters would eventually get revealed and presented to us, but I do think it would be in the format of being in the main MCU in some capacity. Like, I don't even see a Spider Noir being created. I think the only thing that we probably would have gotten would have been Miles Morales. outside of that, yeah, I don't think the other ones would have happened, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about Star Wars Legends, it's always about what's brought into the main canon. But I want us to talk about Legends itself. What was your experience with Legends? What was your favorite storyline? At least favorite storyline, your favorite characters, least favorite characters, etc. My experience with Legends is a little bit all over the place. I really got invested with the new Jedi Order storyline with the was it Yuvon Vong? I can't remember the fucking name. Let me see.
Oh,
How do I pronounce
Yuzon Bong, I
the
think.
Yuzon Vong?
Yeah.
I pretty much had the whole entire collection of the new Jedi Order. I was a really big fan of it. A couple other things. They had a couple other storylines out there that were interesting to me. Legacy of the Force, I believe, was another long-running kind of series for the expanded universe or legend side of things. I was a big fan of Jaina Solo and Jason Solo. I think it was the Legacy of the Force storyline that saw Jason Solo embrace the dark side. I know some fans were upset about the idea of him even turning to the dark side based off who Jason really showed himself to be during the entirety of it. But I always loved the relationship between the two of them. I always thought that, when we see Ben Solo in the films themselves, I automatically assume that they got their inspiration from Jason Solo, in that show, from the books itself. I would have loved to have seen it explored a little bit more for sure. But Jason Solo, Jaina Solo were some of my favorites. Who was the other guy that was always hold on? Karan Horn, or Karan Horn, if I'm pronouncing his name right. He was a Corellian human, force sensitive. He was on the council, if I'm not mistaken. He was always one of my favorites. Karan Horn was not a man who gave up no matter what the odds. More than once, he took it upon himself the responsibility of dealing with threat to the squadron and to the rebellion. Heedless on his own safety, he engaged overwhelmingly forces, and by sheer dint of will and spirit and courage, he won through. I love Karan Horn growing up from the expanded universe. There are a couple things here and there that I would pick up. Rogue Planet was an interesting one, like a living planet that like left the solar system for a while into the outer regions and then eventually kind of came back. I think that explored a little bit like the younger Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Another Shatterpoint, I believe, was a Mace Windu storyline that took place during the Clone Wars. That was a great one that I was a really big fan of. So those are some of the ones that I remember. The one, as far as bad storylines from Legends, they had this Dark Nest storyline. I think it was a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. I really was not the biggest fan of that. But those are some of the. I can't remember other really bad ones. I have a bunch of Star Wars Legends books that I have yet to even read, honestly. I used to be big into the books and I wanted to collect all of them and kind of read through them chronologically. I just never got to a lot of them, but that's some of my experience with the Legend stuff.
Yeah, for me, I think the reason I don't have too many bad Legends, in terms of, my experience with Star Wars Legends is because when it comes to video games and books, unlike movies and TV shows, when I don't like a book or a video game, I just stop. I stop playing or stop reading just because it's a huge commitment. Whereas like a TV show episode or like a movie, it's not too much of a commitment to finish watching if I don't like it. And depending on the company I have with me, sometimes I enjoy watching something when it's really bad. So that's why for me, I don't have too much in terms of bad memories with Star Wars Legends. My favorites would probably, in terms of books, I loved the Thrawn trilogy. I got this graphic novel adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy, also really incredible as well. Art style at times, the art style is good. The art, but like there are a couple of panels that look kind of not the best, I will say, but then there are times where it looks absolutely incredible. Thrawn himself is a great villain, and I'm so glad they brought back Timothy Zahn to write his character, not only for Star Wars Rebels, but they also brought him back, as a consultant for Ahsoka and all that. So I think that's like incredible that he's still around. And then the main one for me, my main source of Star Wars Legends was the video game. So like Knights of the Old Republic, I freaking love that game. I still have never played the sequel, even though people tell me that it's a million times better than the first. And then I loved the Dark Forces / Jedi Knights video games. Started with Dark Forces, which first level took place before episode 4. After that, the rest of the game took place between episodes 5 and 6. And great game. You play as Kyle Katarn. Really fun first-person shooter. This was before you could like look up and down in first-person shooter games. So it was more of a Doom type of shooter. And then the sequel, which was called Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knights, was also great because that was the first one where you could like use a lightsaber, use force powers. It was taking place after the original trilogy. And then the titles get weird because then the third game, they drop Dark Forces and then just call it Jedi Knights 2, just to make it really confusing. And then that's when the Jedi Knight series really takes off. But Kyle Katarn was a great character in the expanded universe.
Yes, Kyle is another one. Yes.
Yeah. And then Dash Randar from the N64 games, or Shadow. What was that? Shadow of the Republic.
I used to love Kyle.
Yeah. And then lastly, sorry, 3 more. Star Wars Tales, which was a fun comic book series, which I would consider to be Star Wars Legends even before Star Wars Legends, because it was really like some comics would be serious, some would be parodies of Star Wars, but they were always fun. Star Wars Tales. This is going to be weird, but keep in mind, George Lucas was a consultant on this. The Robot Chicken Star Wars sketches were incredible. Do you want me to show you something really funny? Kind of a fake behind the scenes thing of George Lucas flipping out during a meeting. Keep in mind, this is acting. This isn't like actually George Lucas getting mad, but this is just kind of like a funny let me see if I can find it though.
Yeah, while you look that up, I will say if one of the I didn't read it, but I knew a couple people that did read them that were really big fans of the X-Wing novels in Legends. I think it was like 10 novels worth or something like that, where it focused on just the X-Wing fighters. I believe that's where you really get introductions and like learning a lot more about people like Jaina and Jason and Karan Horn, and a couple other people also. But I used to have a couple of people that used to read the X-Wing novels, and they were actually really big fans of it. But yeah, so as far as like bad stories or bad characters, I don't really know of like bad characters per se that didn't necessarily work for me, compared to like I didn't necessarily care for like just bad stories. I think the Dark Nest is just a trilogy that I tried to read through that I just could not get through. It was just atrocious to me. But all the other ones that I've seen were fairly decent. Let me stop sharing this and see if I can bring this to this stage. Can I bring this? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So keep in mind, this is a joke. This isn't actually George Lucas flipping out, but it is really funny regardless.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zach.
No way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Yo, I've never seen this before.
I got your voucher.
Oh, he's slapping it. Yo. Oh my god, he literally.
I don't know why that just always made me laugh. I did not create Mara Jade, and I want you out.
Go. I'm sorry, George. I didn't know it would come to this. Yo, that's funny. That's pretty funny. But yeah, at first when you said, I don't know why I thought it was going to be like an actor playing George Lucas. I didn't know it was going to be actually George Lucas in on the joke. Like, that's great. That's so
Yeah,
good.
that's what I love about his relationship with like the Robot Chicken crew is that he seems to be super into like the Star Wars parodies. Like it sounds like he has more fun like making the parodies of Star Wars than he does like working on actual Star Wars content. Just like all the stories you hear from Seth Green working with him and how much fun they all had together. Last expanded universe I will mention. This one actually kind of got referenced a little bit in the Maul series, and that is the Force Unleashed. Because there are moves that Darth Maul does that like are direct reflections of Starkiller from the Force Unleashed, like when he takes down the small chicken walker, and then also at one point he even holds his two lightsabers in the exact same style as Starkiller, which is funny because Sam Witwer voices both characters. So yeah,
that's dope. That's pretty dope. We got My Friends Call Me Joseph. Superman Returns acted like a sliding timeline, spiritual sequel to Superman and Superman 2, while completely erasing the events of the third and fourth films. To make the story work for modern audiences, director Bryan Singer used a sliding timeline that treated the events of those original films as if they took place in the early 2000s. This was identical to the way comic book movies handled decades of storytelling. This allowed the 2006 film to feature modern technology like cell phones and flat screen monitors while keeping the core story of Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent intact. Do you think this timeline adjustment helped the movie honor the originals, or did the modern technology just make the continuity more confusing?
I think if you went into the Superman Returns knowing it was supposed to be a sequel, it would have been more confusing. But I think despite the way the movie was marketed, I think most people went into the movie assuming it wasn't even connected to begin with. So honestly, I don't think it made it more confusing. I think it just made it so like audiences could see this as a completely different Superman with similarities.
Yeah, trying to watch the movie again, I don't remember how I mean, I think I knew that it was meant to be a sequel from the first two movies. I just can't remember how if I thought it worked or not. Like I never even really picked up on the modern technology use of it all. So I don't know. I don't think it led to confusion. But I thought it honored the originals a little bit more, just because I thought the aesthetics for the most part, like the costumes and the suit design, even like the set pieces and like the craftsmanship and sculptures of some of the buildings and stuff kind of worked a little bit for me in regards to honoring the originals. But I don't remember paying too much attention to the modern technology aspect of things. But that was just a weird movie in general for me. Jessica Friedman, would you like to see Korra sequel series movie like Aang is getting? And which unknown DC characters would you like to see get his or her own movie one day?
In terms of the Aang or the core question, yes, especially depending on how this Aang movie does. Which man, the whole thing has been leaked and they still haven't given us a trailer. It's like at this point, it's like some people have already seen it. Just give us a trailer.
As far as DC unknown DC characters, I don't know if there's one in particular, but I still want a Legionnaires movie, and I'll even take a Justice Society movie. I think Legions with a big ensemble cast, if you can find a director that knows how to handle ensemble casts really well. I don't know if a lot of people know who the Legion of Superheroes are. Maybe they're aware of them but don't really know some of the characters and stuff. But so yeah, I would probably go Legions of Superheroes, or maybe even Justice Society a little bit, like like original group, like from World War I type of group. I would go that route.
Yeah, I think what would I do? I'm looking through I just Googled like lesser known characters just to give myself kind of an idea of who I would go with. I guess he's not too unknown, but I'm going to count him as a slightly unknown character. I would love to see The Question have his own movie. I think I've always really loved his design and the way he moved the story forward in the Justice League animated series during Justice League Unlimited Season 2. I thought was like absolutely incredible. The way he was kind of the one to piece everything together was great. Yeah, I think that he would be great for his own like kind of solo film.
Jake Villanueva, in a recent interview with Entertainment, Linda Cardellini was asked about actress Abby Ryder playing Velma in the upcoming live-action Scooby-Doo series. Cardellini offered her support, advising her to simply have fun. Velma has a massive fandom. What do you think of this, and who are some of your favorite or least favorite actresses to have played Velma? Oh, gosh. I don't know if I've seen enough Velma in live action to even know who's all played her, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, you know, have fun is I mean, it's Velma. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't know what other support you can really give her, or words of wisdom you can give her. So I don't mind what she said as far as support goes, but I don't know if I could say I have a favorite or least favorite actress that has ever played Velma. I don't really know the actresses that well.
Yeah, I think like all the voices I've heard like as Velma have done like a fine job. I don't really have a favorite. I guess my favorite Scooby-Doo cartoon would be oh god, well, I think it was just called Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. Or Mystery Incorporated. So whoever voiced Velma in that particular series would probably be my favorite. I guess if I had to go with the least favorite, it's not even because I think she did a bad job as the voice. It was more just because I thought the show itself was terrible. And since she was the showrunner, I guess she's kind of the blame to why the show was bad. But Mindy Kaling would probably be my least favorite Velma.
Yeah, I don't really know too many of the other actresses that have voiced her before, so I can't really answer that question, but I appreciate the question, Jake.
Yeah.
Marco Porco. Rob Schneider frequently appears in Adam Sandler films, rarely playing white characters, and instead of portraying individuals of various ethnicities. His most famous recurring role is You Can Do It guy, who even returns for a dream sequence in Happy Gilmore 2. I actually really enjoyed him also as the Hawaiian in 50 First Dates. Do you think his tendency to play these diverse, exaggerated ethnicities would receive differently if those movies were made today? Which of his many cameos throughout the Sandler cinematic universe stands out to you the most memorable? This also includes Adam Sandler himself and other actors that he worked with. I do think that they would be received differently these days. Rob Schneider is not doing too well. Let's just say that these days. I've seen him do some just weird stand-up comedy at like MAGA events and stuff. His shit is just not funny anymore, dude. Like I don't really find him funny like I certainly used to. But if there is if he were to first off, if Rob Schneider were to try and play these roles these days, I would just think he would have ulterior motives for why he wants to, like not with like a good mindset towards wanting to represent other exaggerated ethnicities. I just wouldn't trust him in those particular roles anymore. But if there was a cameo that really stands out, it's the 50 First Dates guy to me. With the crazy eye sort of thing that he had. But other than that, yeah, that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, I thought he was funny, or it was funny in how Happy Gilmore You Can Do It. But yeah, I don't think that, this shtick of white person playing, different ethnic groups in an over-exaggerated kind of fashion works anymore, because he just kind of comes off as bullying nowadays. And yeah, Rob Schneider with all, doing that on top of the viewpoints that we know he kind of has right now is definitely not a good look and would definitely not sit right with some audience members. So yeah, I don't think it would work out today.
Yeah, well, yeah, wasn't the You Can Do It from Waterboy? Was that his Waterboy?
Was that Waterboy?
Or did he reprise the role and play like in something else?
Might have been I can't remember.
But I did like him in Waterboy. But yeah, appreciate it, Marco.
I always think of I always think of South Park when they do all the Rob Schneider like fake trailers. Rob Schneider is a carrot. Rob Snyder is Kenny, rated PG-13.
We got Alan Ferndez. What's up, Alan? Have you seen the Michael Jackson biopic? If so, what do you think of it? Do you agree or disagree with some of the areas of the film received mixed receptions by critics? Michael Jackson himself is known to be a polarizing figure. What other biopics have you seen that you really enjoyed that come close to the Michael Jackson biopic? Probably the Bohemian Rhapsody one. I thought was really, really good for Queen. I love that movie. That was a really good one. I can't think of other. I'll look up. I'll Google other musical biopics. But he just says what other biopics. I'll just look up biopics in general. But that's the one musically. That's the one that comes to mind is Bohemian Rhapsody.
I think my favorite biopic would definitely go to Rocket Man. But also, I don't know if this counts, but I also got to give a shout out to the Weird Al, parody of a It's not a real biopic; it's a biopic parody. But yeah, it made me laugh hella hard.
They do have Oppenheimer up here as a biopic. They consider that a biopic. That was pretty good. One musical biopic that I have not seen that I have wanted to check out is A Complete Unknown with Timothée Chalamet. I really, really want to see that. And I have not seen this yet, but I hear it's great. Straight Outta Compton. That's another one that I kind of want to see a little bit. What was the other movie? Yeah, so have you seen the Michael Jackson biopic? To answer your question, yes. If so, what did you think of it? And do you agree or disagree with some of the areas of the film that received the mixed receptions by critics? I felt like the one thing that I think most people were critical about was the idea that this movie didn't focus on any of the allegations. But to that, I just challenged the idea of like the time period in which they just stopped at. I think they have every intention of making a sequel. But based off of what happened during filming and what they could and could not use, I don't knock them for stopping the movie in the during the 80s during the Bad Tour. I think if they could have explored further, they probably would have done that. But I think there's just some circumstances that tied their hands besides exploring that. So, asking for allegations to be in the movie for a time period that's not even explored yet in the movie, I think is a little disingenuous in regards to its criticisms. But the criticism I do agree with is there are just things in general from that early aspect of his life that I think gets glossed over or just not explored at all. The Diana Ross relationship, the Wiz stuff is a little bit would have been really nice to kind of implement in their relationships with Quincy Jones and like just how deep all of that stuff kind of really goes. I would have liked to have seen that explored. If there was any criticism for the Michael Jackson movie I would say it was too short. Even though it came in over 2 hours, I would have loved 3 hours of this movie and allow them the time to kind of explore those things. But it just felt like, cliff notes of great memorable moments of Michael Jackson's life in order to be a people pleaser. And I'm not mad at it. I thought they did an incredible job. I still think, I think they emphasize a lot of the things of why Michael is the way that he is, his relationship to his family, the things that he really sacrificed in order to help his family, whether that was selflessly or, to help his family or just out of pure fear of his father and what his father was going to do. I just wish things weren't glossed over so much. I would have liked to have seen things explored a little bit more, just really more insight into it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I think like it definitely went for the crowd pleasing aspect, and I think it did a good job with what it was trying to do there. And I thought it was just really well filmed, and yeah, I thought the sound was also really incredible. Like just yeah.
We got Nathaniel. Many audiences have grown exhausted by the recent wave of TV revivals, movie reboots, and sequels, with many arguing that poor reception can tarnish a beloved franchise's legacy. However, looking at the bigger picture, it is often better to revive a show or produce a sequel while the original cast members are still alive to participate. Given how risky these returns can be, is the chance to see the original actors together again worth the potential damage to the franchise's ending?
I mean, to that, it would depend on the that's kind of a case by case thing, depending on the show itself. There's a lot of shows where it's like I feel like the ending is just so perfect. It's like, why would you want to continue it after all this, you know? And I think that if you end a show where everything is given perfect closure and you have this idea that our heroes get to have their happy ending, but then you bring them back and you put them in a new situation that's so much more depressing. It could definitely ruin a franchise's ending. But again, I think it depends. Man, there's just so many factors in it. Depending on the show itself, how it ended, how you bring it back.
That's like a case by case situation, I think, and based off of really having to like test the temperature of the fandom and the fan base, like just having somebody keep an eye on, like just asking the question of like, if we were to do a revival, just see how people feel about the idea of like, would they want somebody new? Would they want to bring back the old original, actors, and just kind of play that by ear a little bit. I mean, look, I just think just in general, reboots and revivals in general are, I want to say, risky. Sometimes they feel like they can very much be money makers because we have seen either live action reboots do well, but also do terribly well. We do know that sequels, I mean, we're 5 Toy Story movies in deep, and people still keep coming back for more when it comes to Toy Story, right? So some things work, some things don't. I mean, they're trying to revive Masters of the Universe now on the big screen. And while it's being really well received by critics and audiences, it's not necessarily doing the best at the box office sort of thing, And so it's like, what do you do in those kind of circumstances? Is that damaging to the franchise in general? So I don't know. It's really a case by case basis in that regards, Nathaniel. But I do think the first thing is listening to the audiences, or at least getting a gauge of what the audiences perhaps would like to see if they were to reboot those things, of bringing back original characters or kind of starting fresh, and just kind of make your decision based off of that. Kenneth, last question here from Kenneth. By shifting from a serious superhero dynamic to a time-traveling comedy, Legends of Tomorrow successfully carved out its own unique standalone identity away from the crowded Arrowverse. This comedic fourth-wall-breaking evolution allowed the writers to ignore the rigid crossover continuity, even sitting out events like Elseworlds and delivering a wonderfully bizarre series that preceded the experimental nature of Marvel's WandaVision. Do you think the show would have survived after its first season if it had stuck to its original, more serious tone?
I don't think so. Because I wouldn't even say it ever really had like the more serious tone. Like, it definitely got goofier and became way more of a comedy as it went on. But even season 1 and 2, where it was like kind of like, it felt like a very different than what season 3 and onward would be. I think like the reason they had to stop doing it that way, and a lot of what I say here is also kind of based on what I heard from Katie Lott's interview when she talked about the earlier seasons of the show. It was too expensive, and then it was a long time to film because the format, of them having at least like almost like Power Rangers, them having at least like one suit up fight like every episode just took way too long for them to film. So I definitely get why they ended up changing the direction of the show as it went along. And then not to mention they didn't even have a showrunner for the first season, so they didn't even like plan for the show when it started. And when you kind of look back on it, it's really easy to see why. They also wanted it originally to be an anthology, which is why so many people leave after the first season. It's definitely I definitely think that the direction they took it in, even though, like, if you look at our older videos where I was reviewing the show, I was definitely crapping on it. But I think that in retrospect, it made a lot of sense for them to go into that direction, to utilize the concept that they had, and then how they can use the budget, what they have with that concept, how to make it work. And I think comedy was definitely the right route to go with, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it might have been the right route to go. Just because, I mean, the series lasted hella longer than
Oh,
I
yeah.
expected it to. So it does feel like it might have been a good decision on their part. But I'm not gonna lie, Stuart. I gotta rock with Marcelino here. I wish Legends stayed with the superhero nature. Like
Yeah.
I just do. I like the characters. I like the group that they had. I even enjoyed like when they teased the Justice Society of America and what they could potentially do there. The Thangarian War that we just never came back around for them to kind of deal with a little bit. I just thought it was just going to be a great series to really introduce impactful other DC characters that never really got live action and kind of do them justice a little bit, whether or not I looked at Legends of Tomorrow as like the home for the B or C level list characters. I still thought it giving them an opportunity to shine. And having the leader that they had, I can't remember what was Homeboy's name outside of Katie Lotz. The first wasn't he was
Oh,
that
Rip
wasn't
Hunter.
Rip Hunter, yes.
Yeah.
I liked Rip as sort of the quasi lead for the series itself. So it would have been nice to kind of see what he would have been able to do with the fledging of superheroes like that, instead of it just constantly being more comedic in nature. So I mean, I get the decision. I don't fault them for the decision, but it definitely lost me as a viewer. But it clearly either, I don't know if it gained viewership, or I don't know what the ratings were like after it wind up switching over, but enough for them to have a lot of seasons. And I guess for CW, that's all that mattered at that time.
I think like with Legends of Tomorrow, because like I think like at its best, it never really passed the Flash or Arrow, but even at its worst, it was never worse than the Flash or Arrow, because what it had is consistency in terms of its viewership. Like, it was like the same people would tune in every single week, whereas like with the Flash and Arrow, audiences would tune in only if it looked like it was going to be a good episode, if it looked like it was going to be another filler episode. And I'm talking about the later seasons of those shows, not the earlier seasons, which did incredible in terms of ratings, but like the later seasons, as the ratings went down, they just got so inconsistent with those two. But I think that was why Legends stayed on for so long, was because like the numbers were just like, they knew exactly what they were going to get from the numbers, and that's what like let them keep the show going.
Yeah, you might be right there. Just a couple comments here. Pexy also says, going back to the biopics, Elvis biopic was a pretty good one. I hadn't seen that one with Austin Butler. I think he's referring to.
I need to see the one with Jacob Elordi, because the one with Austin Butler, they make his manager out to be the villain, but the one with Jacob Elordi, they make Elvis out to be the villain. That's the one I haven't seen. I should. Oh my god, that would make a fun double feature.
Pexy says reboots are okay to revive if done right. Marceline says, other sci-fi show writers said, I don't care about how small our budget is. It won't dictate the story we want to tell, but the budget can't be the sole factor, because they still used a lot of expensive CGI props and makeup that would equivalent to the superhero budget.
I think the main factor was that they actually got a showrunner as the show kept going. But like, I think the main factor of why the show was the way it was in the first season is because no one knew what the show was going for. I don't think even the writers knew what the show was going for.
You might be right. Yeah, I mean, having a showrunner is definitely very impactful in regards to just having a vision and a direction for your show. So I didn't realize that, but thanks for clarifying that for me, Stuart.
Yeah. And that comes from Katie Lotz. It was from an interview with, I want to say it was her interview with Michael Rosenbaum on the Inside of You podcast, but it might have been a different one. I just remember hearing that directly from her, of why the first season was such a pain in the ass for her to film. Like, I guess no one had a good time doing the first season of the show.
Damn, yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, guys, I think other than that, that will wrap up all of our live viewer questions for you guys here today. So thank you everybody who certainly participated on today's show, dropping off your questions and such. We always appreciate being able to converse with you guys in regards to these things. Trying to think of what's on the docket tomorrow. So as of right now, we're definitely going to be having our Let's Talk Movies episode tomorrow. I definitely continue to start at 7 p.m. Central Time. If anything, we'll be talking Masters of the Universe. I've graded it already. Indy actually surprisingly sent me his grades for Masters of the Universe, so I might include those with ours once we get yours back, Stuart. You're gonna try and catch Scary Movie. I'll try and catch Pressure sometime today. Let me talk to the girlfriend, see if I can schmooze my way into be like, baby, can I go see a movie and see how it goes. So at least Scary Movie and at least Masters of the Universe for you guys tomorrow. We'll see if we can get Pressure in there for you guys also. So definitely look out for that tomorrow. I am also still watching Spider Noir. I've rewatched the first 3 episodes as of yesterday. I may drop Spider Noir reviews in 3 episode blocks. I may do episodes 1 through 3 and give my overall thoughts, and then 3, and then the last. I can't remember. I don't even know how many episodes there are. 8? Are there 8 episodes? Do you know?
Yes, 8 altogether.
So I might do that because I do want to talk Spider Noir, and possibly keep your fingers crossed. Possibly interview opportunities for Spider Noir. After I get done watching it. Have you watched the show in full, Stuart?
Oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Black and white or color?
Oh, black and white.
Okay. Yeah, I'm watching it in black and white. Once I finish it, I may rewatch it again in color. But I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. But definitely expect some type of Spider Noir reviews for you guys this week as well. And then, of course, if there's any big movie trailers, any big news that drops that we felt we'll talk about before we get into Sunday's show, we'll definitely go ahead and drop something for you guys. And I'm going to try and get with Stuart and Will and find out just what their schedules are like, because I really want to do a Mandalorian and Grogu review with you guys for the Force report.
Yes.
So definitely look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. But Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you, Stuart?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram and Letterboxd.
And if you want to follow us anywhere on social media, all the way over here at TikTok at Hero Report, as you see over there. We are on Twitter at APlus Hero Report now. And then if you want to follow us anywhere else, 2 other places I would suggest, definitely our YouTube channel. That's our main spot where we drop all of our video content for you guys. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and certainly do so. Clip these videos, share these videos, download these videos, whatever the case may be. Let people know about APlus Hero Report, because we grow with your guys' support. And then last but not least, our Facebook page at APlus Opinions. That's exactly where we post everything for you guys in regards to news on a daily basis. So if you want to be kept up to date on a daily basis, our Facebook page is certainly the way to go. We drop news articles, exclusives, behind the scenes featurettes, trailers, posters, any first looks. That's where we get all of our topics. And then we take 6 of those topics from there and we talk about them here every Sunday live at 12 p.m. Central Time, ladies and gentlemen. But that will do it for us here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll certainly see you guys next week. In the meantime, do us a big favor, as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.